welcome to Eden Fractal meeting number 45. I am here with a bunch of great Eden community members. Today is Wednesday, April 12th. And we started recording and Lenny shared a bit of a speech because Lenny got elected as a chief delegate in the recent Eden election. And once again, congrats Lenny and congrats everybody participating in the election. I have a little presentation ready. We're going to go into breakout rooms in like 5 minutes or so and play some Eden plus Fractal. And I'll share a bit of a presentation to give a recap from the past couple weeks as well as topics on the agenda today. Is everybody ready? Should I share the presentation or does anybody want to say anything first? We got some thumbs up. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, welcome everybody. I think you should be able to see this window now. So as always, well, actually, I'm working on posting the show notes on edenfractal.com/videos, but I'm a couple of weeks behind because I've been focused on some other stuff, but I have put together some very brief show notes for the past couple of weeks. So this is the 45th meeting, as I said. In the 43rd meeting, we discussed exploring Notion workflows, and we have table of contents with some more details about the Notion workflows and also about EOS punks and some of the funny hat parties that we've been having, as well as the topics and timestamps as always. And then last week in the 44th meeting, Vlad made a proposal for updating the community account with software that he just built to automatically change the MSIG based upon weekly rankings. Way to go, Vlad. This is a really cool development. And this proposal, I don't think that anybody's voted on except for Patrick yet. And I'm still in the process of reviewing it. And I just released the video just yesterday so people can watch the full video. There's timestamps coming soon and you can learn about it. There's also a little article here too that explains more about how this MSIG proposal works. And Vlad did an interview with Patrick recently, where you can learn more. Basically, it automatically updates the MSIG community, the community account based on who receives higher respect in different levels, but we can go into more details about it later. And we also had the 6th Eden election. Once again, congratulations to Lenny and Mo and everybody who participated. It was a really great experience. Can share more about that soon. And also figured I'd feature the EOS punks again, which I'm quite excited about, a new NFT series that Pascal launched, and he is giving a gift to all Eden elected delegates. So thank you, Pascal, and looking forward to collaborating there as well. And then we've had a funny hat party with lots of fun things too, and we had topics and so forth. But anyway, today I'll just go quickly here. We're going to go into Eden plus Fractal, and then we're going to do Kagendas, the consensus game where we create agendas together and so forth. And for today, I just put up 2 topics pretty quickly. I'm not sure how many people have voted on yet. One is reproposing the Eden Fractal Participant Agreement, same proposal as previous weeks, basically. You can read it there, but just 2 simple terms. And this is just to, as a reminder, just to test the contract, basically, not actually to make it like a requirement or anything like that. And then the other one is about edenfractal.com. I'm working on a new landing page, and I can also provide an overview about some tools and welcome guide and plans to raise funding. I'm working on some exciting details. You can see it right now at edenfractal.com/details, but I can show you more about that later. And it is a work in development. Would be happy to have some feedback. But now we're going to go into play Eden plus Fractal into breakout rooms. So I will stop my screen share. Hope everybody is doing great and excited. If anybody wants to share anything, we have like a minute or 2 before breakout rooms.
How do I record?
Okay.
There's a button in the bottom of like the Zoom window. It should say record as long as you have the window open large enough.
Okay. I put the risky button.
I see.
Nope.
Lenny has.
Oh, there it is. I found it. Should I record too?
Cool.
Always better. Always better.
I see, Lenny, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Not so good. Not so good.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm recording it so I can check my things later on. I had some net issues here for a while. Now, I just want to say I'm here shortly. I'll be disappearing shortly after a few minutes ahead because I got a tight schedule and similar, and I got other things that I got to take care of for various reasons.
I too.
But why I'm giving up a little bit here is also, you will notice maybe next week and similar, when we start lay our plans ahead a bit. We're pretty busy, both me and Mo, but it's working well. As
Hallelujah.
So anyway, we'll see how things go. So anyway, I might not be showing up very often. Every now and then, maybe for a few minutes or whatever, maybe some whole session, but don't count on me anywhere nearby for. I still do the recaps and stuff. That's normal, you know. But
I forget you. I forget you since now.
I will catch the recordings and other things. So anyway, I'll be back. I'll be back eventually.
I will be back.
Can...
I will be back.
I'm talking now, Patrick. So anyway, I will be back in one way or other in the future. Don't worry, that was the last word.
In the future. Okay.
Well, sounds great. Thank you, Lenny, and congratulations once again for being elected as well. And I'm stoked to see that everything that you and Mo do, as well as all the other delegates and great Eden members. Also, welcome, Vlad. Great to see you. Mark, I see there's some interesting comments. Lenny said, I bid adieu for now. And as mentioned, he's going to be focused on Eden on EOS work for now and setting some motion. So wishing Lenny the best. And thanks, Lenny out there for joining. And thanks, everybody. Yeah, it's 16 UTC, so we can go to breakout rooms. I can start them now. Does anybody want to share anything first before we go in there?
Eden fractal is the best.
That's right. Patrick knows.
That was
okay,
50%
cool.
sincere, 50% hypocrite.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about, I love the 50% sincerity. I'm not sure about the 50% hypocrite. Also not sure about the grammar on that, but we can get into that later. I just started the breakout rooms and I hope everybody has a great time.
I don't know what I look like today, but oh, oh man, so glad you're here. I mean, good to see all of you, but someone very special has been talking about you a lot, Noam, so excited to meet you.
Who's that special person?
Michael Yates.
Oh.
I think I said to him, I hope it's okay if I say this on a recording, but I said to him, I'm inviting a bunch of people to play. Like, who's your number one you want to play? And he says, no. I'm like, who? So no offense, of course. But so just so you know, please come play.
All right. We're talking Alien Worlds, right?
Yeah. And the EOS ship is like, it might even be landing on Ike now, because I just got elected this week and I'm sending a 1 trillion like welcome to people, like to communities. And I tried to send it to EOS Jack because we didn't have a wallet yet. And they're like, wait, you can't send it back. You have to send it to the other wallet. So Dan's setting up a wallet to do it for the 1 TLM. But like dozens of communities since it's been like less than 24 hours, but dozens of communities have connected already to the planet by giving me their wallet so I could do the proposal. Because once I do the proposal, it's on chain forever, whether it's approved or not. So I went to Eve and said, like, will you, connect ENF? And he's like, and I said, and you can too. And he's like, sure, here's my wallet. And I'm like, yes. So he's like, go talk to Zach.
I'll have to look into it. I'll have to look into it. It seems fun. It seems like interesting what they've built.
We make it fun if we try.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of social and calls and stuff like this. And I don't mean to take over every Eden or Fractally or meeting with Alien Worlds, but it's kind of like that. So anyway, yeah, happy to chat anytime. At least a Chandler, reach out.
All right.
But yeah, excited to see you. Are you in charge this time, Marco?
No, I had my wallet too.
You went, yeah, send your wallet. Okay, good. Yeah, everyone send me wallets. I'll grab it. I do have like a lot to put in already, but it's so fun because most people are going to the planets asking for a lot of Trillium. And I'm like, I just want all our friends there having fun. So let's just do this 1 trillion thing. So like dozens of people are like bringing their communities or projects or whatever. And I'm trying to get someone to do a smart contract so we can add buildings to the lands and stuff too. So we can actually move in places theoretically, conceptually. But anyway, as usual, I keep going.
Can you explain our article?
Yes, alienworlds.community, the proposal section. I'm trying. It's just a start.
I've heard bits and pieces of it developing. I just
yeah, and we can hop on a call later too. I don't want to hog all the time again. But that's how it happens when we're excited about stuff, right? So anyway, I'll mute for now and someone else take control.
Well, sounds great. Thanks, Lisa. And I don't mind at all. I'm always very happy to hear you sharing updates and all the exciting news with Alien Worlds. Also, congratulations on getting elected too. I heard that you elected as as a custodian, I believe is the terminology on
I'm
Ike.
kind of Ike,
So,
yeah. I was week 1 on Bellis, and now this week I'm on Ike, and I probably won't stay. I just wanted to go set up some things and welcome people and do a few things. So I'm very, very fortunate to have such generous patrons to help me do that by voting for me. So
I just sent you a DM, by the way, so feel free to anything you want to discuss, like just hit me up.
For sure. Yay. Okay, will do. Back to you.
awesome. Sounds great. Well, and I'm glad to hear the collaborations with Gnome too. Thanks again, Gnome, for drawing it. It's great to see you, and I'm excited to see what Mike Eats has in mind. So many exciting things going on with Alien Worlds. But yeah, I suppose we should get into like the process and so forth as well, so we make sure we have enough time. But of course, interested and very interested to discuss this too. So if anybody has anything else you want to share, then we can also keep talking about it for a little while longer. I suppose a good first question to ask, if nobody has any further comments on that, is does anybody want to like lead and host / moderate in this room? I'm happy to do so if y'all would like, but if anybody else wants to do it, then that would be cool as well. And it doesn't seem like anybody is jumping at it. So yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to, feel free. Otherwise, I can kind of just jump in. There's not really much moderation needed, but just to make sure that we keep it according to time roughly and stuff like that can be helpful. Does anybody want to go first and share their share what they're doing first?
Did you raise your hand, Lisa? I go first.
By the way, you muted Lisa, but okay, yeah. Cool, Marco.
Same stuff I do every week. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Same thing I do every week, except the focus has been, and usually a mid-month since I release 5 monthly newsletters and node operator summaries are kind of busy, starting to get busy. So in anticipation of that and EVM coming along, one of the things I really wanted to get done before EVM or really before we see some major development is get a handle from the Ethereum side. And I know Dan heard this a little bit in one of the past meetings we had recently. And you know, I don't really see it that practical to get from the Ethereum side. So I've been scouring just see how far an impact EVM and ENF is having right now. And I've gotten it, Hive blockchain is looking at fractally, or they're set to do some governance, looking to get involved in IBC. I mentioned that specifically IBC, and they weren't as in tune with that, but they were looking into it, but definitely with the fractal. Games is a big thing. Wax has already done some stuff. I've already seen some impact from IBC, although there's not a direct bridge that I know of. And of course, Alien Wars, what they're doing with the government. So there's a lot of stuff that seems like it's happening under the radar. And I wanted to get a hold of some of that. Look at those communities that may be ahead of the innovation, because generally you get one project and a lot of the other ones copy it. It's kind of like you see one, you see them all. And that's not what it's about. Since I cover the news, this is part of understanding what's going on in the ecosystem, but also identifying threat points. And one of them, I was a little shocked at just sort of one of the conversations, appears to be maybe DeFi platforms. There may be some, I'm not going to call them scams, but trendy DeFi platforms. I know one seems legit, has been out in the open, talking about its development, but 3 others just popped up recently, and without much saying, just getting their names out and then kind of like put their heads back under the water. And then lastly, as far as a project, first of all, Splinterlands is doing something really, really nice. I don't know if they're going to connect with EOS, but they're taking it from a private to a public through a licensing sale for validators. And the other one is SOV, where it's putting mining into the game. Kind of like Prospectors, but it seems like much more integrated. And Prospectors was influential because it held a bridge, a gaming bridge, between Wax and EOS. Here you have mining, but you also have a meaningful community where you're able to attack other people's miners, destroy them. So that's how the token is being produced. And it's a deflationary mechanic that's been around and promoting EOS for a couple of years now. The community was pretty big. I mean, I don't know if EOS has had any higher number of followers, maybe even bigger than these at some point. So anyway, all that coming together, and then bridges, making it easy to move things across, and development. I think we can foresee a lot. So that's where my head's been at. Not much reporting on it, but I've already thought of a couple of articles to get out of it after the breaking news for EO support hits. Be figuring out something that probably looking deeper into SOV, but they delayed for a week. And then I know there's a couple other news that anyway, pass it off to no, I don't know why.
All right, thanks. Your name is Marco, right?
My name is Marco, and I didn't mention Alien Worlds because it's a top one. I'm looking at it. You guys have plenty of stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Marco. Yeah. So I'm GNOME for those who don't know me. I've been in crypto since 2011, give or take. I co-founded back in 2013 the Montreal Bitcoin Embassy. That's where I met Pascal a few years ago, and then I've been in EOS since the launch of EOS Mainnet. I'm the CEO of EOS Titan, which is a block producer on EOS Mainnet. I'm also the CTO of Origin, which is a crypto investment bank that's been active in the Antelope chain. I've been also working on as a lead developer on the UX Network. So UX Network is one of the 4 chains in the Antelope coalition. And it's quite funny because, we were talking about IBC. I'm also the lead developer of the new Antelope IBC protocol that was just released on the mainnets of the Antelope coalition chains a couple of months ago. So I've been quite active on that front, and that's also one of the reasons, I guess, Michael Yeats wants me to to look into Alien Worlds, because he's been asking me a lot of questions about the IBC protocol. I think there might be some stuff brewing there, but in any case, I joined this fractal call. It was kind of a bit interesting because recently our team started working with Matthias from the ZEOS project. ZEOS is confidential transactions on EOS, and quite cutting edge stuff that Matthias and his team has been working on. And Vlad also, who's I think is a frequent collaborator here, has also been working with Matthias on I guess like a set of tools that are set to basically power the Eden fractal type of elections. And I was just talking with him this morning, and we were thinking about how we could get involved and help out in these things. So I saw that the call was on, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go see what's happening there, and see if I can help one way or another building these tools to help essentially Eden and fractal governance in general to basically have a set of more advanced tools that can be used for this. And it's quite funny because because of that discussion with Lisa, we started talking about Alien Worlds, and I was also just before I talked with Matthias, I was just working on some sort of a like proof of work NFT contract that allows you to mine certain things, and I was just like working on something like that could also be of interest, I guess, in the Alien Worlds ecosystem. So it's just like funny how things are just aligned today. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I'm definitely looking forward to participating more in these communities, and I will hand it over to Pascal.
Hi, thanks, Guillaume. Hi, everyone. I just want to say I'm happy to see you here, Guillaume. Great builder. So if Montreal is standing up in terms of blockchain, Guillaume will be among the people that you have to talk to. So I'm happy he's here. So this week last week I introduced the EOS punks who are NFT on EOS. And then the idea was to give to the community some sort of sense of digital asset that represent our contribution to the community. I believe in NFT, so I introduced them last week. They're going to be 500 of them, 500 of this US pounds, and then it's being dropped every 2 to 3 days. As of today, we have about 60 already minted on the blockchain, on EOS blockchain. And my first initiative was to give to all elected delegates one US pound. So it's been sent to them slowly because I'm doing it manually. And then the second initiative will be to I have to talk to Dan how we can do it, to give some, to drop some to Dan so that he can give it to Eden Fractal members as a contribution to the new EOS that we are building. Looking into the future, I don't have any precise project with these funds, but I see what we can do with the IBC that just got introduced by Guillaume and his team. So with the IBC, it will be possible to transfer our pounds to different chains and then do something with it. It can be staking, it can be backing some coin with it, backing some asset. It's those are the possibilities that can come up. But at this point, my main focus is also to get them out. So that's one. The second thing that I've done this week, it was, as you know, I'm building a social fi, a blogging platform. Maybe I can share the link for those that are not aware. It's called Tiagori. And then the idea is to reward people that are creating content around EOS and then EOS and Bitcoin. Currently, I really want to go like blockchain agnostic, but stay into social finance. I believe we have a good opportunity. There are great things happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem, great things happening in EOS, great things happening in Proton blockchain regarding social fi. So I want this project to go mostly like agnostic, don't depend on any particular chain, but reward people that are creating content around these topics, social fi. It could be what EOS is doing in terms of social fi. It could be Bitcoin social fi, Proton social fi. So this is the where I'm putting most of my energy. It's built on Hive blockchain, and then the economics is the same as on Hive for those who knows how Hive works. One of the challenges that I see now is things around liquidity. When people earn a token on Tiagori platform, they may want to change it, to exchange it and get EOS or get Bitcoin or any other token. So building a cross-community reward system is one of the things that I'm really passionate about, cross-community reward system. So I will end here. That was my contribution this week. And then I will go to Joanne. Thanks.
Hey, thanks so much. Contributions this week, I participated in the Eden election, and for my first round, I got put forward through the first round, and it was using my proposal was using the Eden process as a use case for other communities, and my pitch was to use it for alien worlds. So I didn't give too much information on how that would roll out. I did have someone in my room, Michael, what's Michael's last name? Michael T. Did give me his vote, but he wanted some support for EOS synergy. So I committed to giving him 15% of the budget that comes in for him to report and not maintain, but report and support what EOS Synergy is doing. And the rest of it going to roll into some of the other grant money I've received from a grant from Alien Worlds to see how we integrate EOS on Eden and fractally into this process as another experiment, a little bit different from how the current elections are working. So we've seen one iteration that's different from the base DAC in Alien Worlds, where they're empowering just normal people to vote in something called a miners union. So they've kind of made it a little bit different on how you can empower people to vote. And I think everyone here is pretty aware of what we feel is really important with proof of person, with this whole Eden process, with coming to consensus. We've realized that, or at least I've realized that, we are passionate and have done a lot of work on consensus and governance. And that's not always the skill set when we have leaders or people in elected positions on Alien Worlds. And that's kind of the end goal, right? They made this whole game to be the game of DACs and DAOs, to pool people, or pull them along to introduce DAOs and how to, have efficient governance and how to come to consensus. And I think it's going to be a long road, but the rumor is that the end goal is for the whole centralized company to give all of this to the community. So I see that as a multi-year plan. But there's a lot of eyes watching. There's a lot of other blockchain communities, gaming communities, terrestrial communities seeing. Can we get out of the politics? Can we get out of the messy humanness of governance and make good decisions, grow the user base, grow the value of the whole, Alien Worlds ecosystem? So I believe deep in my heart, this process is going to help that out. So that's what I'll be putting my energy on. And everything else that was mentioned, Pascal uniting other communities, Noam doing the IBC, Marco, bringing all this together. It's what a super exciting time, right? Because now at least I can see how we can branch out to other communities, whether it's inside Antelope or, EVM and outside our bigger communities. So pretty cool time to be in the ecosystem. So I'm excited to be lending my voice to, how this rolls out for our community on Alien Worlds. And yeah, that's about it. I guess I'll pass it on to Dan.
You're muted then.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dwayne. That sounds awesome. Thanks, everybody. By the way, do you know Melissa? Lisa, that's somebody who you invited? Okay, cool. I'll invite her to join this room. I see she just joined. Cool. Thank you for inviting her, Lisa, and thank you,
Yeah,
Dwayne,
Melissa's a superpower. Everyone will want to know Melissa.
Okay,
She's
cool.
one of my
Sounds
favorite
good.
people.
Awesome. I remember you speaking about Melissa a little bit on the last call that we were on Thursday. So welcome, Melissa. Thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. I think she can probably hear us, or maybe her audio is getting loaded. And also Evgeny just joined too. Okay, cool. And Evgeny is also a superpower, amazing human being. So yeah, Melissa, feel free if you'd like to say hello and welcome and introduce yourself. You're very welcome, and it'd be great to hear from you. If you want to just listen,
Hey,
that's all right too. Hey.
Would you like me to go ahead and introduce myself now or just wait?
Sure, now would be great. And just by the way, we are recording and planning to publish this, Melissa.
Okay, all right. So my name is Melissa Kilgore. Lisa invited me. I plan on getting more involved with what's going on with Alien Worlds. I work on other blockchains in relation to blockchain analysis and research. So that's what I do. But anyway, that's me. So if y'all have any questions, I know it's just a quick introduction, but basically I just kind of want to get in and start learning the pathways and who's who and what is what and see where I can assist, and we'll go from there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much,
And also
Melissa.
connecting to Planet Ike for the record.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm very excited to connect with Planet Ike as well. And it's a pleasure to meet you, Melissa, and looking forward to collaborating and learning more about you and your work. Sounds very exciting from what I hear so far. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Oh, yeah, you're welcome, of course. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this process, if Lisa explained it, but right now we're in a breakout room for another 35 minutes where we play a game that we call Eden plus Fractal, where we each share what we're doing to help the community, and then we rank each other's contributions and elect a delegate. And then after that, we go to a community room where we have larger community discussions, so I can help fill you in at some point. I mean, that's a basic introduction. I can answer any questions if you'd like, and I can send some introductory materials and stuff like that if you'd like to learn more as well.
Yes, I would like to learn more. Basically for today, I'll just kind of hang out, watch the process, get to know what's going on. But you guys continue with whatever. I don't want to hold anything up. However, I would like to have some information sent. That way I can learn the process.
Okay, sounds great. Well, yeah, thank you for being interested in learning, and I will send over some information. I'm also about to share a little bit of some of that in my presentation, so you can see a high-level overview here, and then I can send you some links, and happy to share with you. I'd be happy to discuss it another point too. And thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome. And also welcome Evgeny too. Great to see you.
Hello,
well.
nice to see you. Are you ending?
No, well, we're not ending. I was just going to give my presentation, and Melissa just joined. So Melissa was introducing herself. And yeah, I was just going to give my presentation already. Dwayne, Lisa, Marco, and I think maybe everybody's gone. And actually, Lisa hasn't gone. And so me and Lisa are going to give our contribution report presentations, and then we're going to get into consensus. We do have 6 people already in this room, Evgeny. So if it's okay with you, if you joined a bit late, then we'll have just the first 6 people who participate in consensus. But if you'd like to just share an update as well and share what you're working on, Evgeny, then that would be cool too. Does that sound good?
So if I understand you right, you just wanted to show your presentation.
Yes, I was just also explaining that we have 6 people in consensus already too. So I'll share my presentation, and then Lisa will share hers, and then we'll get to consensus. So and if we have time, then you can share what you've been working on as well.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Okay. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Evgeny. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So I'll share my presentation now about what I've been working on. I'll put on a little timer too, so I don't go for too long. Yeah, so I have mostly been working on, well, I've been working on a bunch of stuff. This is the thing I'll show first, which is edenfractal.com/details, which I'm working on as a potential landing page for edenfractal.com. The edenfractal.com has been pretty basic for a while, and then the details page was really messy. Actually, I meant to bring it up, but I didn't remember. But it's kind of just very basic, kind of put together a while ago, and does the job. But I'm working on pitches to tell people the benefits of everything we've been doing here for the past almost year now. And I think we have a much more exciting pitch now. And so I'm working on representing that in this landing page and some articles I've been writing. So I wrote Eden Fractal as a community that creates innovative games and shows and tools. Very open to feedback about these as well. And then I wrote some sections I kind of separated into game, shows, and tools were 3 of our main value propositions. And I kind of made it more like a landing page where there's some writing, a few sentences that summarize it, and then it links to a welcome guide that I've been working on, and also the Telegram chat, and it can link to some other stuff as well. Put together some art. Also talk about how we produce videos of each meeting, so you can watch us as we grow, and and it links to the show notes and links to interviews and shows, and an article about our how we make videos together in this unique way with these consensus games. And then I also linked about the tools too, and tools that help everyone cooperate and build abundance. And I wrote an article, I'm writing an article about the tools that, especially Vlad and Doctor building, but also many other people in the community are also helping build. So I'm trying to curate these as best as possible. Also Matthias and Lenny, who are also doing great work as well. And I wrote a little bit about meetings and where people can learn more. It's kind of early in progress, but that's kind of like the basic idea right now of what the landing page can be. I think this can be really helpful to explain what we're doing, as well as raise funding. This is the welcome article. I haven't really updated this much, but That's what it links to, so people can check that out here, and that's what I'll send Melissa too. It's still a work in progress, but it has a high-level overview of many of these things, like the consensus games and the tools we play, or the tools we use to play the consensus games and so forth. And that's coming along. And then this is the article that's linked about DAMs, Decentralized Autonomous Movie Studios, Media Studios, which is like how we make videos together, which has lots of information that's also a work in progress. But that's all kind of linked here on the homepage or the details page. And then, as always, each week I produce the video from each meeting. So you can check that out at edenfractal.com/44. And I talked about how Vlad introduced the new tools to update the community account automatically based on rankings. And then I also wrote a little bit about it. And then I also just quickly put together some stories. I haven't really written the stories. I just put together some pictures about the election and the EOS punks and the funny hat party and stuff that I showed before. So I'm going to be working more on that. I've also been updating. I wrote a lot of this last week, but I've been updating this tools article to curate the tools that Eden Fractal community is building, and it's quite comprehensive. I want to also, I'm working on a landing page to make it like shorter and simpler too, but it's kind of like a broad overview. I'm also going to reach out to Joran too. Joran is a great he's a great builder who does great work doing technical writing and documentation for well, he just did it for Eden on EOS, and he did a really great job using Gitbook. So I'm planning to reach out to him to organize this a bit better. But there's an overview of the apps, the Fractogram and the Fractal app that Vlad and Dadas have been building, also with Linar and Matthias and everybody as well. And then the consensus games, and then it talks about agendas and how it's inspired by Fractal. It goes on quite a bit, and most of this I did last week, so I won't show it too much, but that's there, and it has quite a detailed introduction to all these apps and how they work and stuff, and that's a work in progress. And then also what is this? Oh yeah, I also started to put together some articles specifically for tools because I want to shorten and make it more digestible. So I started putting together an article about the Firmament app that Dadas is building, which is really exciting. And then also the Fractal app that Vlad's building. This is actually written by Vlad, and I just copied and pasted for now, but I'll also add more there, and I had written more on that page, so I'll combine those. And then I started to put together that landing page that can kind of explain it better in a shorter way as well. I also started to put together a brand called Amusing Tools, or I've been working on this brand for like 5 years or so, but I figure I can use this brand to help promote the tools that we're building. And this is my buddy Bongo the player, who can help us build tools. And I started to write a story about how he's helping to make games that help people play together and all sorts of stuff like that. So this is early in development, but I figure that Bongo can play a big role helping us out here. I was also looking at Upland last night. I was very inspired by it too. Started to put together an article by consensus games. Mostly I just asked ChatGPT what are consensus games and stuff, because I figure it's helpful to explain, and ChatGPT did a pretty good job. So I'm going to curate this down. But these are examples of how consensus games are helpful, because I think that's a really great way to communicate what we're doing and how it benefits here. I also participated in the Eden election, and I was elected as a level 1 delegate. And basically everything I do is here to help Eden Fractal. So I'll be using all those funds to help the community as much as possible. One of the things I'm aiming to do, and I'm aiming to raise funding for, because I still haven't raised full amount of funding, is go to the consensus conference. It's coming up, one of the biggest conference in Web3 coming up in a couple of weeks, and I want to speak with people from the ENF and then wider Web3 to promote EOS and promote Eden Fractal, especially because I think that the tools that we're ready here and then the games and the shows, like they're pretty much ready for mainstream adoption. Like we're pretty close there, so I think it's a perfect time to promote it, and I think that could be really helpful for the community. Yeah, I'd like to see Lisa's reaction. Also, speaking of more people adopting, I participated in the Aqueduct that Douglas has been hosting, and we had a great meeting there. I wrote an article last week, or I just put together an article about the Aqueduct with more information, and then we're working on my rebirth goal to play more music, and that's a kind of consensus game meeting like this, but for each person to accomplish personal goals. And then I've been working a lot with Lisa and several other people in the Alien Worlds community. I put together this little artwork with Dwayne's artwork from the Alien Worlds fractal, and then I'm still working on this. I've been working on it for a while, but I've just been putting some final touches to be able to share it. It's got interviews with Dwayne and stuff like that, so that we can learn more about the Alien Worlds fractal. And I've been looking into the Upland hackathon as well, because I think that we can apply there with our games too. And then also lastly, I was just listening to Jordan Peterson talking about ARC, the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship. I'd been curating an article there since he announced it, but he's working on some similar ideas to Eden as well. So that's another thing that I'm excited about. But anyway, that's been 5 minutes, so I will wrap up my presentation there. Hope you all enjoyed. And I happy to answer any questions at any point, but for now I will pass it on to Lisa.
Oh, hey, hi, sorry, you're in my microwave.
Oh, okay.
I've had some technology issues lately, but so you're sitting there anyway.
Interesting.
I know it works really well, actually. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, I've had 4 devices down in the past like month or something. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but something's going on. So anyway, I'm happy to report that I actually did something for Eden this week. So I ran on Ike specifically to do a few things, one of which is to welcome the EOS ship. I'm a big advocate that all of us are from the EOS communities. That's our heritage. And even though we all go in different ways, we still love where we're from. And I consider EOS and Crown and Eden and Fractally and all the good fun things that we've done as communities as part of my heritage. So I wanted to make sure that all our friends feel welcome in Alien Worlds, which is usually not the most welcoming place. But just watching what Dan was doing for the new players of Eden Fractally, that's exactly the spirit that I hope we can bring with alienworlds.community and inviting people and sharing news and information. And hopefully Dan will come help do that too for alienworlds.community, hint, hint. So this week I was fortunately elected thanks to the many patrons who voted for me. And we started sending 1 TLM proposals. I hear some have been approved, but even submitting the proposal records it on chain. So Planet Ike and each community submitted are forever linked for all of blockchain history. So if 3 people approve it, myself being one, then the, well, really, if any 3 people approve it, then the 1 trillium transfers automatically to that community. So hopefully we'll have a community directory to reflect that and be able to count community members as players in Alien Worlds in the new model. Many of you know the first game was mining, or is mining, which is proof of concept on mining, but that was really a proof of concept to get us, get some tokens out and get people to the DAO game, which is the 3rd game. Syndicates Missions is a staking game, the 2nd, where you fly spaceships around and stuff. But Syndicates is the DAO game, and it's super vague. Like no one knows really. There's some technology and there's people, and do whatever you want. And there's a lot of terms, but that's a whole nother story. So we're making it up. It's in our imagination. We can do whatever we want. And it's a chance to demonstrate how we can build better worlds. I think many of you know I talk a lot about how we are the implementation layer for digital currencies to show how it can work. And from what I can see, to show how people can enjoy their lives and thrive instead of being enslaved and miserable, as ways to get their tokens that they use to create successful, ongoing, non-inflationary economies around the world in the future. So what we're doing, I think, is really important. And these proof of concepts and these fun little examples are ways that we're gonna be able to have more freedom for people in the future. And so I consider it a big thing, which is why I'm here all day, every day, day and night, actually. And hopefully we can create positive, fun experiences. And that's what I'm hoping to do by connecting everyone. And obviously the EOS communities to me represent governance and experimentation and wisdom from all of that. And it is incredibly important, more important than ever, for those of us working hard to defend our space from criminals and attackers of various types, which is part of it too. It's super important to have governance examples and experiments like Dwayne was mentioning, so that we can learn what works and what makes our system resilient, which is really goal number 1, because we believe it can in various ways make life better. So anyway, happy to finally officially do something for Eden this week to connect everyone. But of course you all do way more than I do. And all of the punks and everyone, please, I want to get your Wax wallet address or set one up if you don't have one, unless IBC knows how we can do that already. And let's get that. And I want to get you all connected, and I want to go get some punks too. Super excited about that. So anyway, yeah, many years in the metaverse together in the future, let's hope. This is just the beginning. All right, awesome. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I know. See, that's the there's the use case right there, Gnome. See the Wax wallets, the, the EOS wallets. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's enough for me. On to you.
So
Awesome.
whose turn? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all good now. Yeah, now I think everybody just shared what they've been working on. So we have 20 minutes left to reach consensus about the rankings and then the delegate as well. It'd be great to also hear from Evgeny at some point, and then I'll see Marco has their hands up. But was there something you wanted to say there, Gnome?
No. That was please though. All yours.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, I see Marco has your hands up. So Marco, you can go. And then yeah, if anybody has any questions or comments for anybody, then now would be a good time for it after Marco.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I was elected as a level 1 delegate, and 10% of the funds went to the Spanish fractal, Jorge, another 10% to Stefan of US Nation, and another 10% to real world, potentially real world or a live in-person fractal governance for building natural communities or something to that extent. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the Spanish fractal.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you very much for supporting the Spanish Fractal. Jorge is doing excellent work. And I know that he's mentioned a few times or several times that funding could really help him hire more developers and make changes to the software and all sorts of stuff. So thank you very much, Marco, for helping to support their work. All right. So does anybody have any other questions or comments for anybody before we go into consensus?
So how many are we participating? Because we are 8 on the call on the room, so we just need 6, right?
Yeah, I think the way I see Evgeny's unmuted. I think the way it works best is the first 6 people who are here participating in consensus. Does that work for you, Evgeny?
Yes, I just watching and listen to you. And if you don't mind, I thought I'd stop by anyway here to wish everyone a happy Space Day. I don't know if you celebrate in your countries, but in Russia we do. And I think that Space Day is one of the most important holiday for the all progressive mankind and for all people who serve the progress. And I think we also in EOS community are building a better future for all of us. So we are the astronauts, we are colleagues with astronauts. So congratulations to you all with Space Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evgeny. I didn't know there was a Space Day actually, but I love it. I'm very happy to hear it. And I have the wrong background up, but it's all space in a way.
Today,
but yeah, thank you.
Today, 12 April, it's in 1961, the first cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, was launched to the space. So in Russia, we celebrate it every year.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Happy Space Day to you. Happy Space Day to everybody out there watching. And that is now one of my favorite days. I love space. So
yes,
the more we can celebrate, the better.
I think that's the most important holiday in the all year. So I try to share this thought. So I'm glad that you like it. Thank you.
Super cool. Yeah, I always have a space background behind me. I love to think about the cosmos and cosmonauts. So that's excellent. And I love it. And thank you very much, Evgeny, for joining and sharing as well too. Really appreciate that.
I think Lisa celebrates too. She has space behind her.
You think Lisa what? And Lisa, you're muted by the way there.
I know. You can see what I'm saying though.
Okay.
And actually, you just Gnome is the real space expert in the crowd. I don't know if he's on today, but he actually designed space paths for Israel's space program.
Who does that?
Gnome. Noam.
Noam.
Not you,
Oh,
the
no.
other gnome. I know, I was right. I'm like, wait,
Nice.
there's two gnomes now. They're spelled differently. Noam. Yeah. He's playing too. He's around on Planet Ike. But
Yeah,
I think he
I've
might
met
even
him
be on the
before.
call somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, well, great. Yeah, Noam's doing great work as well out in space, and he's always got in his background as well. And so, and it also goes well with Alien Worlds too, Space Day. You wouldn't have much Alien Worlds without space to get around. So
He's
thanks
actually,
for,
I think he's actually going to make space paths from our actual solar system to our actual planets, because the Alien Worlds planets are real planets and the exoplanets. So if with the wormhole, you actually can make a path where spaceships could actually fly in the future once we had wormholes. So just saying.
looking forward to it very much. I think we should get on to consensus because we only have 15 minutes left, and then we can get back to talking about space and all sorts of other stuff after that. I just shared a link to Fractogram in the chat. So everybody who's participating in consensus, the first 6 people I invited, Marco and Pascal. I meant to invite Lisa and Dwayne as well, but that didn't go through. And then I haven't messaged Gnome on Telegram. So if Gnome, you could join there as well as yeah, everybody's joined but Gnome right now. So if you could just click that link, Gnome, then that opens up Fractogram. I don't know if you've used Fractogram before, but this is the Telegram client that DOS built that enables us to easily vote.
All right, I'm there, I think.
Cool.
Join.
Sounds good. Yep, I see you joined. Thanks for joining. And now I just made a prompt to please enter your name, account name as a response to that message. And is everybody ready to get into consensus 1 through 6, or does anybody have any final questions or comments
Wait,
before we get into it?
Do you have the Dan account? That's $3.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I was happy to get that. I got it last year just before I joined Eden, and it saved my fingers many motions, and people seem to like it as well, being short and easy. And Lisa seems to be enjoying it too, even though she's still muted, but I can have an idea of what she's saying. You could feel free to unmute, Lisa. It would be nice to hear you more.
No, I just think that is awesome that you got that. Like, you should get a special prize for that. Just having it is the prize, I guess.
Yes, having it and the conversations and people enjoying it, that's the prize. And also my fingers, saving time, more efficiency. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I'm guessing nobody has last minute comments. We can go on to the level 6 poll here. And so I will create that, and you can vote when you're ready for who you think should be level 6, who did the most to contribute to the community and help out this week. Oh, actually, Lisa, you didn't respond with your EOS account to that message. My apologies for not seeing that before. Could you please respond to the message?
I had to respond to it. Okay.
Yes.
Let me scroll back up. Who's DGB Tech?
I'm the one.
That's
Pascal.
yes.
Sorry, say it again. I'm not looking. Oh, you are Pascal?
Okay.
Okay, all right, just checking. I want to make sure I got it. Okay. Sorry, it's really hard for me to navigate on this like device.
Okay.
Reply. Okay, sorry.
And also, Evgeny, this app has a limitation where it doesn't work if there's more than 6 people in the group. So would you mind leaving the Telegram group so we could still make the app work?
Who?
I was just asking Evgeny.
Oh, okay.
Evgeny joined, but that makes it so the app doesn't work. Sorry, I don't mean to be exclusionary, but it's just a technical limitation of the app. Okay, cool. Thank you, Evgeny. All right, so now we can vote on who we think should be 6. And it looked like everybody voted so far. So far, Gnome has 3 votes for 6. Lisa has 1 vote from Gnome. Pascal voted for Lisa, and Dwayne voted for me. Me, Pascal, and Marco voted for Gnome. Would anybody like to share their reasoning for why they voted?
Yeah, I want to recognize Neom contribution to the ecosystem. So I have this opportunity to do it today. So that's why I pick him. I believe if people they don't have time to attend fractal meetings, and then but they are doing things in the back, very things that we use, but we sometimes we're not aware of. So it's good to recognize them when they are here. So that's the reason.
Similar reason.
Cool, sounds good. And yeah, my reason was similar too. I'll just briefly, I see Gnome has consensus now. It seems like he's got 4 votes that switched over. So yeah, I'll just say briefly that I really appreciate you joining us, Gnome, and then all the work you've been doing. Been following your work for a long time, and think you're doing great work with IBC and UX and everything you're doing. And then yeah, I'm especially excited. I heard from Vlad that you're working closely with Matthias and Vlad, so I think that's great. And I really appreciate that you're interested in helping build these tools for practical cooperation and participating more, and then also collaborating with Alien Worlds too. You're an awesome developer, and developers can build the foundations of what we're doing here. So yeah, really appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thanks for the kind words. I'm blushing at that.
We can't see.
Yeah, that's why I have the beard.
Yeah, I know. I'm kidding. I wanted to make a comment. I can change my vote on a Chromebook. I can do it on the Android phone, but I just wanted to mention that in case anyone was interested.
Thank you for the feedback. I think Tadas will appreciate that. And yeah, you can, I think you know how to do it, but if you right click on it, or if you're on mobile, you hold press on it, then you hit retract vote. That's the way to change your vote.
I take it back. I see that now. Ignore me.
Okay. Okay, cool. Never mind that Tadas out there. Okay, well, it was almost good technical feedback, but it was some sort of good technical feedback either way. The level 5 poll is up, so everybody can vote now. And there's one person who hasn't voted yet, and who is that? Okay, it looks like Lisa has 4 out of 6 consensus here. Congratulations and thank you, Lisa. And now we can do level 4. And yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. I really appreciate everything you're doing. It's been a huge pleasure and exciting working with you with Alien Worlds. And I'm thankful that you're also, I would disagree with you. I think you've been very much up in the Eden community all along, but I appreciate that you're also more directly up in the Eden community too. But in general, I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm happy you got 5. Okay, and now we have a split. There's 2 votes for Dwayne from me and Lisa, 2 votes for Pascal from Pascal and Marco, and 2 votes from me from Gnome and Dwayne. Would anybody like to share their reasoning?
This is a tough one. I recognize some of the stuff Pascal's been doing for a while. I just haven't been able to reward it. Dwayne as well. Yeah, Dan's always here, so sometimes it's just somebody else. But yeah, this is tough.
I'm not sure what you mean by somebody else, but okay.
From my perspective, I think you guys are all very important contributors from what I've seen so far. I picked Dan because Dan is the guy that got me into Eden back in the day. You're the one who introduced me to the ceremony back when I joined. So you're the one I'm voting for in that round. But whoever finishes second, I'll vote for them in the next round.
Cool, sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Gnome, and it is my honor to be able to introduce you to it. We had a great room with Eve and Chris that I really enjoyed, and it was a pleasure meeting you back then and following you since then, so thank you. I think somebody switched their vote to Dwayne. Pascal changed their vote to Dwayne. Yeah, I also voted for Dwayne too. I think Dwayne it's, I mean, Dwayne's been doing excellent work for a long time. And I really love the work that Dwayne's been doing. He always shares inspiring speeches. And also I love that he ran in the election to help empower the EOS and Alien Worlds fractal communities with these Eden fractal kind of processes. And pleasure speaking with him at the Crown Call each week too. So that's why I voted for Dwayne. And it looks like Dwayne now has consensus.
Yep.
I appreciate his moral leadership all throughout too. I want to mention.
Me too. Absolutely. We have 5 minutes left. Maybe like 6 minutes, because I guess we started like a minute late, but gotta go pretty quickly. 3. Okay. And it looks like a split. Pascal with votes from Pascal, Marco, and Lisa, and me with votes from
I'm gonna do why.
Dwayne, myself,
I
and
am voting
Gnome.
for Pascal. So I think everyone knows I'm a huge fan of Dan, and I vote for him all the time. However, I feel the reason I'm voting for Pascal this time is I believe he's doing some really urgent, groundbreaking things that for EOS and for connecting the other communities to EOS because of it, like through the NFTs. I think that's a really big deal. So I want to support that and here and everywhere, you know, and note that these things that made it a really big deal that we could grow in GameFi, seeing those emerge on EOS. So that's my pitch.
I'm going to add, when someone is doing something that's weighty, or degree, like the degree of difficulty in a gymnastics competition, getting Hive on board with IBC or just kind of getting them over. I mean, it's anything in that arena, bit shares and stuff. Everybody there knows Dan Larimer. And when he set up Fractal and wrote the book, there was no supporters. I just forgotten that. And I inquired. I went around. I wrote articles about it, and they were just forgotten. And now I don't know why, but I don't think it's because of Dan Larimer. Someone else in that community mentioned fractal governments, and people are starting to jump on board. So the degree of difficulty is a lot harder, and I'd like to recognize that and support it. I just want to be successful. Because they're doing some decent stuff over there at Hive, and they have trouble with Steam and everything. And I know I can vote Dan 6 next week. Vote Pascal's here so I can download them under Dan.
Okay, cool.
Lisa's probably going to be here.
Sounds good. Yeah, so Pascal, you're saying something?
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Pascal. We have 2 minutes, we gotta go fast. I'll just say, I also really love what Pascal is doing too with EOS Punks. And I think that's awesome. I advocated to rank Pascal level 6 last week, largely for that reason. And also, Marco, that's a great point too about Hive as well. If I had more time, I might advocate for myself a bit, because I think that what I did with the introductory is really helpful as well. But I also very much appreciate Pascal. So okay,
I want to see if we can get you funding for your conference. That's I want to address that way. We'll address that later.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it looks like I have consensus on level 1 or level 2. And that means Marco is level 1. And then we just have the delegate, or actually we can, I don't know if we actually have to do this. And no, we don't have to do that. It automatically generates. And then we just have to pick a delegate. I think I'm interested in being a delegate. I don't think I'm currently a delegate, so I would like to be a delegate. I'm pulling up the spreadsheet right now to see who is a delegate, and I'll share it in the
I would like
chat.
you to be a delegate too, but I want Dwayne to go get the Alien World stuff done. So hope you don't mind voting there.
I don't want to be a delegate, but I want to use my time in saying no to say that I like the proposal, the English-speaking proposal, the way it's worded, except for 3 words at all times. I think America has proven it. I think the internet has proven it. Sometimes words are better in a different language. especially foods and things like that. But to limit it at all
All right,
times.
just by the way, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Marco. We have to come to consensus because we only have like a minute or two left. So I just want to prioritize that first. So right now we have 2 votes for me, for myself and Dwayne, and Lisa voted for Dwayne. Pascal voted for Lisa, and Gnome voted for Gnome. So who's interested in being a delegate? I suppose Gnome is interested in being a delegate.
I'd like to to pitch you guys something. I have no idea how being a delegate works. I have no idea what budget that represents or whatever. But I can say that if you guys elect me, I'll throw more budget than what I would normally be paid. I won't take any salary. I'll work on this, and I'll have my team work on this. I want to make sure that there's proper tooling that's built for this. I'm gonna collaborate with Vlad, and I'm gonna just make sure that we can build this fractal stuff so that it works. So anyway,
Awesome.
if you guys are cool
yeah, I'm
with
pretty
that,
sure Dwayne would vote for that, so I'm switching.
Yes, and that sounds excellent. But I just want to explain what it is, though, because that all sounds really awesome, and thank you so much, Gnome. But basically, the way that delegate works is delegates form councils, and then each delegate serves a term of 4 weeks, and basically, like the role or responsibility that is like for delegates is to be there for an hour after the breakout rooms for 4 weeks, and then just to read the proposals and vote on them and use your good judgment. So do you think you'll be able to be here for the next 4 weeks and stay after for the hour?
Is the same time as today, right? So like it's Wednesday at 11 my time. Yes, now, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That's right. Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, Gnome. Well, I'm also happy to vote for you too, and you have a unanimous vote. And then we have to close this room up in a moment, but I'm just gonna hit the consensus results. This has been a really fun room, so thank you everybody so much for all the amazing work. Super exciting whatever he's doing.
I know.
And then
it's always so much more fun here than I think it's gonna be.
It's a great time.
I know, it really is.
And I'm glad to hear that too. That's awesome. I feel the same way. I just shared the consensus results. So if anybody's unfamiliar with that, basically you hit the results can be submitted here, where it says here underline, you can click that, and then that opens it up in the Fractal web app, and then you can submit your consensus results there. And please do so within the next 58 minutes, so that the results will be on chain, because the voting closes after that. Okay, and I suppose with that, I can close the breakout rooms. And once again, thanks everybody so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
It was awesome.
Hello.
Hello.
Patrick's having a good time. Hey, Perry. Good to see you.
Hello.
We experienced what it was like to be in prison with Patrick in the same cell.
Yeah. I stated to Perry, if you are in the same prison, I will let him go at middle of the night with the bats. That's great.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's a joke between us. That's a joke between us. We love. I love Perry. I love him. I love Perry. He's the best of the hidden fractal. When he join, he do always jokes. Okay, so I love Perry. I love Perry. I love you.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Smack to you. Smack to you. Smack to you.
I love you too, Patrick.
I know.
You're irreplaceable.
I am irreplaceable. I know all that. That's a tragedy. Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Good idea. Glad to hear that you two love each other. Anyway, so we'll get on to agendas and talk about the topics on the agenda. I'll share my screen in a little bit, and we'll get rolling with that in the next few minutes. If anybody else would like to share anything else from their room or anything else that's on your mind, that would be a good time. Hope that everybody else enjoyed their room as well and had a great experience. I know our room was really fun. Lisa was saying she always has more fun coming to these meetings than she expects, and lots of laughs and lots of really super exciting work. So I'm hoping that the other room, everybody had an amazing time as well there too. Also, for everybody else in our room, Melissa joined for the first time. She's listening in. So welcome, Melissa, to the community room. Here's everybody at the event here at the meeting now. And for the next hour, we play a game called Agendas, where where people can propose topics or make proposals to the community, and then we discuss them as a community, and who we elected as a delegate, if their proposals can work together with the other delegates to approve proposals. Welcome also to Das. To Das messaged before that he had to join a bit late, so thanks for joining to Das and letting us know. And yeah, if anybody has any comments, then feel free to share. And then I'm also going to just pull up a presentation. I'll be ready in like a moment just to share the topics on the agenda. Or actually,
yeah, into our room, there was some problem with fractalgram. Perry was mentioning some problems. So now there is Tadas here. So if you want to say to the support 24/7, Tadas is the support, is the bot. You can speak with Tadas. Hallelujah. Perry, let's go.
Yeah, I can say that it wasn't updating the vote, my own vote. I changed my vote. It didn't update it, and then it moved on to the next vote while displaying the previous vote, continuing to display the previous vote in the state that everybody else in the room saw something different. So
no.
I'm not sure what that is. Patrick seemed to think that was my computer. I don't know. That's just the feedback. So I just took everybody else's word for the state of the vote. But that's my experience. Not a big deal, but that's the feedback. That's how we improve. So there you have it.
Yeah, thanks. It's in general, it seems with Telegram, it takes time to update the results of a poll. It doesn't, and there's not much I can do about it. It's dependent on what Telegram client you're using and what and how the Telegram servers work. Yeah, so that's about it.
Because of the high latency, it takes a long time to sync.
Oh, like a spinning wheel. Nice. Okay.
Okay, in just a moment, I'm going to give everybody a view of what we experienced in our room, in room 1, just a moment ago. I'm just going to give everybody just a taste of what we saw.
Okay. What do you mean? You're going to share your screen, or you're showing a technical issue that happened?
Yeah,
okay.
Here it comes.
It might also be best to just share that separately with Das, and so we can focus on matters that are more relevant to the whole community. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would agree. Perry, I will post a link to a Telegram group about fractalgram, and I think it's the best place to post.
Yeah, I'll share that privately, but I was talking about something different.
Okay. Well, we do have 2 topics on the agenda today. Perry, I got confused because
oh no, Perry, oh mon Dieu.
That's what we experienced.
Ce qu'il est con, Perry, c'est incroyable.
Okay, interesting. Well, anyway, we can save the love fest for later. That made me laugh, and I was confused. I was like, who am I talking to? Because I saw Patrick on it twice, so I was very confused. But anyway, and I see Noam is wearing the Frisbee hat too. Noam's ready for the end already with the funny hat party. So great to see that. People fooling around, a bunch of jokers around here. Okay, so I'll share my presentation.
If I'm going to talk seriously, I'll take off the hat.
Okay, you can keep it though. It does make you look like kind of like you have some godly halo wisdom as well. So, and it looks cool. It goes with your shirt and your planets. But yeah, anyway, we're a couple minutes behind on setting up with the agenda, so I'll get into and share where we're at right now, and so we can be productive and focused and all those good things as well. So anyway, welcome. We're playing agendas now. Everybody's welcome to make topic proposals. I was the only person who made topic proposals this week, but throughout the whole week, anybody can make proposals on consortium. I know Gnome was saying that he was interested in helping. So is there anything that perhaps you want to propose for next week, Gnome, or anybody else? About things you're interested in sharing with the community. Basically, the way it works is you can post on consortium, on the Eden Fractal consortium, and then Vlad, if you could also delete the old posts too. We're supposed to delete each of these, and I know Vlad's really busy, but basically we can just ignore the ones from 43 marked T43 or TP43, and just go to the ones for TP45 is the way it works. I can also share links, and there's some description about this in the edenfractal.com/welcome guide and edencreators.com/tools if people want to dig into that. That's my second topic that I can share more about. But yeah, basically everybody's welcome to make proposals there if there's anything you want to discuss, as always, but just reiterating here in case people aren't familiar. So I was the only one who made proposals this week, or topic proposals. One was reproposing the participant agreement. I proposed this several times and I didn't change anything about it. But I do think this is a priority, something that's really helpful for the community. So I reproposed it, and that one has the most votes right now. So whichever one gets the most votes get discussed first. That's the way it works.
Can you post a link to it so people can vote as we speak?
I posted a link in the live chat already. Thank you, Gnome. And
good.
yeah, so people can check out the Eden Fractal live chat. If anybody's not in the Eden Fractal Telegram group, then I'd encourage you to join at t.me/Eden Fractal. I can also share a link to that in the Zoom chat momentarily. But yeah, you can see those two links
I
there.
don't see a link in the live chat.
There is, if you scroll up slightly right above your message.
Posting here we go.
Yep,
it's just
scroll
before
up,
mine. Okay.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So yep, there's a participant agreement, and we got some yeses and nos and not sure. So we'll discuss that first, and then we still haven't had an actual delegate vote on here. So if the delegates would like to vote, that's the way we can actually decide on, or one of the ways that we can decide about that with more democratic legitimacy in addition to this as a signaling tool. And then the second topic is T45, edenfractal.com, where I can share a new landing page I'm creating for Eden Fractal, and I can provide an overview of an article at tools and welcome guide and a plan to raise funding that I've been working on a lot throughout the week. And then also, yeah, I didn't actually read this, but basically the way that this works, in case somebody hasn't read, or like a reminder, vote yes for this proposal if you support the creation of an on-chain participant agreement as written in the following document. I'll open up this document. It's an IPFS link. And basically it includes two simple terms of agreement regarding speaking English and also sharing videos on social media. I think that Mark was making comment on that, so I'd be interested to hear comments about this. But yeah, basically just those two very simple terms of agreement. And then the proposal scope is just limited to simply adding this agreement to the Eden.Fractal EOS account with the set agreement action. That's something that James Mark built into the agreement when he first built it, and we haven't used it yet. So it's not asking anybody right now to sign it or anything like that. It's just basically testing out the action. And then in the future, I think this can be a good first step to test it out first. And then we can propose making it so that people need to sign agreements sort of participate, and we can figure out what the right things are to require. And yeah, it's essentially the same proposal, but I just made some slight adjustments. And thanks to Gnome as well for making those. And I'll open up this this agreement here, the Eden Fractal Participant Agreement V0.1, and also share a link to this in the Telegram live chat. I encourage everybody to use the Telegram live chat instead of the Zoom chat. Zoom chat works as well, but Telegram live chat, we had a meeting where we discussed that. It has a lot of benefits where people can see it and it's easier to access and more media and stuff like that. So that's the first topic we'll discuss. I also have an article here at edencreators.com/agreement where I haven't really touched this article in the past couple of weeks since I proposed it last, but this article here contains a lot of information and recommendations and considerations I've been thinking about the agreement. It includes some thoughts about why it can be helpful to create an agreement, and also recent progress. We discussed this in the 37th and 38th meetings, as well as some other meetings, and includes the proposal, and then some notes about why I proposed it in this specific way. And then yeah, it has a lot more information here. You can scroll through and learn about it at your leisure, and also during this meeting, there's lots of helpful information about Eden Fractal participant agreements, and I'll continue updating this when I have time in the near future. And then we have delegates who are here. If you could update this to DAS, I know Gnome was elected as delegate in our room, but I think we have enough delegates to pass a proposal if we want. I don't think Jorge's here, but other than that, everybody's here, so we could potentially pass a proposal. And then the second thing on the agenda, second topic, is about the edenfractal.com/details, which is the landing page. People can check that out, and I can introduce that in a little bit if we like, and if we have time for it, we can move on to this topic. whenever the community would like, propose both topics so we can discuss either one, but the one that has the most votes right now, and unless anybody voted, again, I'll reload it really quickly to see if anybody changed their votes. But yeah, right now that has more votes. So we'll discuss the participant agreement first. If anybody has any questions or comments, then feel free to share. I see Marco has his hands up, so I will pass it on to Marco now. Marco, what do you think?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing, the 3 words at all times. Some words are better in different languages, so I think it would be best changed to for decisive matters or something to that extent. People are free to use what they want. They don't have to worry about conforming to English, American, British, Australian. But no, they're just some words as Americans know that just don't play well in English. And yeah, it's a nice thing to have, and it makes it clear for decisive matters. We're coming together under the English language to form consensus, or maybe just put in instead of decisive matters for that is specific to consensus, and it leaves the community a little bit more leisurely, and yeah, like that.
Thank you for the feedback, Marco. So was there a recommendation about specifically a sentence that you would change or improve there, or?
Yeah, instead of at all times, specific for consensus.
Okay, interesting. I suppose I think maybe I should read this because it's quite short, but basically the agreement says language, English. Each participant acknowledges they can read, write, and speak and understand English language, and they agree to speak English at all times when participating in a video call. Marco is saying when related to consensus. I mean,
specific for consensus.
Okay, I'm interested to. Interested to explore that. I'll also read the other part too because it's quite short as well. Consent to record and share video conference calls. Each participant agrees to give consent. I should put the word "to" there. To give consent for the meetings to be recorded through Zoom or other alternatives by any other party, anyone else at the meeting, and each participant agrees to allow the recordings to be published by any means, including on social media platforms, and acknowledge that all content and communication may be public. Further, each participant understands that posts on the blockchain are beyond the power of any party to remove. So, yeah, basically, just to add a bit more clarity, these were mostly copied from the agreements that the Fractal team created, but they had a way longer one. I just figured we'd start very small, and I just copied 2 that seemed important. One, I mean, we want people to speak English, and I think it makes sense to have it on all the video calls. I mean, if people speak Spanish or a different language a little bit, of course, that's cool. Like, it doesn't have to be like super strict. But in general, like if somebody's not speaking English at all, like we need to have some sort of rule to make sure people are speaking English. And then this about the video calls, the idea is like I'm posting the videos on YouTube, and especially as the community grows, like I think the agreement's really helpful just to confirm that everybody is cool with being on video. And also I think Lenny and Noam we're recording as well. I encourage everybody to record as well, and that could help just make it more clear for everybody to be able to record without, one, without being unsure if they are being recorded, and then 2, to confirm that's cool with everybody. I'll pass on to, I don't know if there's anything you want to add there, Marco? Okay, you want to respond first?
A document that's going to be best binding is going to have a specific purpose. And specific for consensus is all we really want, right? We don't want anything more out of this.
Well, I think that, I mean, it's for the community room too. Like, even if just right now we're not doing a proposal, it's not like for consensus, specifically, we're just discussing something. If somebody comes and they're just like talking Japanese or something like that could just be a obstacle that could like make it difficult for the community to discuss things, basically. So
you always had a non-disruptive, non-English, and that covers it. But that wording might turn some people off. And a legal document is generally not worded that way. So you just put it specific for consensus and non-disruptive other languages or whatever, and then that would fit it well. But yeah, that will turn off some people who English is a first or second language. They just understand that sometimes the American culture is different. I know you're American, so you kind of, anyway, it can be a big deal.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. It does sound harsh to me. I'm not really big into like legal terms that much, and like I'm more like just try to be chill and cool with everybody. And so speak English at all times, that could sound overly harsh, and perhaps we don't want to make it overly restrictive in the words. So thank you for the suggestion and feedback, Marco. I'm going to think about that more, and curious to hear more thoughts about it as well. If anybody has any thoughts to Marco's suggestion, would be happy to hear it. I see Tadas's hands up, so I'll pass it on to Tadas now. Sash, you are muted right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree with Marco, what he just said, that kind of phrasing might turn some people off, specifically people for whom English is not their first language. I know some people who like know English a little bit, but they don't feel fully comfortable with it. And if they see that wording, they might be too scared, for example, to try and come. So yeah, yeah, I know I would either remove the word at all times and just say that the participant agrees to speak English, and that's a bit less harsh in my opinion, or try to be more specific, like something like Marco suggested.
Yeah, you can leave it off. You can just leave off those 3 words. It works well. And then it becomes a matter of logical decency sort of thing.
So maybe what you're saying is that we should say that people shouldn't try to speak a different language, but it's okay to try to speak English even if they can't.
But also it is required. You know, I mean, Dan's point there, you want to require it to make it a decisive thing. So if they can't speak it, then ultimately maybe they can't participate. But we don't need to write that down. You know, I mean, well, it's about expression, and just don't want to turn that. I'd like to pass this. It is good to get people more serious about it, focused on being productive.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. I agree, and thanks, Noam, as well for the thoughts. Hey, Eric, you have your hands up.
Well, one idea would just put in the intent to learn English.
Okay.
Just an idea.
I mean, I think it should be more than the intent to learn English, because I mean, one of the main things that like I think we're going to encounter as we go. By the way, Vlad said that he has to go. He votes against the agreement proposal, and see you next week. Thank you, Vlad, for everything you're doing. So yeah, I think that as it grows, like there's probably never going to be some times that people are going to come and not speak that great English. And like one of the things in More Equal Animals that Dan Larimer wrote that I think it's really valuable is like the community needs to be able to protect the minority from the majority and the majority from the minority. And like the community needs to be able to basically set boundaries. And like if somebody's coming in speaking a different language a lot, then that gets in the way of the community being able to communicate in English and get stuff done. So like it's good to have rules about like who can join and when they can join. Like obviously we want to support all languages, like, but at some points if somebody speaks mostly Japanese or Korean or whatever, then it makes more sense for them to be part of a Korean speaking or Japanese speaking community. And it's good to have some sort of guidelines in place to say, well, here's the expectations that we expect everybody to agree to. And so if somebody's just learning, you know, for the first time, then I don't think that would be acceptable in many cases. I mean, I would appreciate them learning to speak English, but like, but we need to have some degree of fluency in order to be able to communicate without, you know, getting too distracted from it.
A good example would be, and by the way, I don't know if I'm still a delegate. Spanish fractal grows really big, and the funding for this fractal is big enough that people say, hey, we have more people. Let's go over there, join, and speak Spanish, keep people out. I think that's maybe one of the threats that Dan Larimer saw. So as long as it's clear that the decisions are made in English, I can't see anybody complaining about that. or feeling overwhelmed that you know they don't know all the words, or the word is better in their language, or how do you say this? And you know, that's kind of learning. How do you say this? And that's fine, because we care about the expression. If we can get rid of the English language, that's fine, but we can't. We need an expression. We don't have a translator here. But we would want to protect.
That only works when there's somebody to translate for you.
Yeah, I was thinking an AI. But you know, we don't want another fractal coming in here and just taking over, because people here can't speak Spanish. Japanese.
Someday we're going to have the Star Trek Universal Translator, but I don't think we're there yet.
And then this wouldn't matter.
Yeah, and in general too, when you have AI or other technology doing translation for you, that's also a dependency as well. So when we speak English and we don't use another tool, then that makes us more independent, although those tools to translate certainly can be helpful in some cases. See, Perry, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent proposal to talk about. And I appreciate the different pushbacks. I'm going to, I think, dive into, at least for one meeting, or as far as I can get into it, into the Hispanic meeting. And I'm going to try my Spanish there and see how it feels, and see if I can comprehend the decisions that are being made, and see if
Hispanic refers to a region of islands. I believe Hispanic refers to Hispania. The Spanish fractal may be mostly South American. Just, you know, FYI, it would be just to let you know. You may want to know what
that I may want to do what? I don't.
It's called the Spanish fractal, not the Hispanic fractal, and the Hispanic fractal would refer to something else.
Well,
yeah, it's generally called either. It's generally called either the Spanish-speaking fractal or fractal de Hispania, are the two names that they go by. But it's not super relevant though. So
yeah, I'm referring to Jorge's group. That's what I'm referring to. So in Jorge's group, they speak Spanish, and I do speak some Spanish. Whether it's enough to actually feel like I'm contributing and also making valid decisions is I don't know. I don't know whether I can do that, but I'm gonna have a little experiment on myself and see how I feel about it. Kind of come at the problem from a different end. I can see how, you know, if somebody isn't speaking Spanish, or excuse me, isn't speaking the dominant language, like for example, English in our case, it can lead to strange decisions if you have enough of those people that are confused or don't really understand the issues. And at the same time, if you have people who are starting to speak and communicate in a different language, and other people can't follow that language. However, we can all chat privately. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on that. It's an interesting question. My intuition tells me that we should just kind of keep it a general rule and just kind of keep it soft for now, and maybe modify the current agreement to be a little more general, I would say. So that's my feedback.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much for the insights, Perry. Great points. Does anybody else have thoughts you'd like to share? I see Pascal wrote, it's good to have required language. Otherwise, how do we communicate to reach consensus? That is a good point. And from first principles, you need communication with a common language to have consensus. So I completely agree with that, Pascal. Also, I can add here too. So one thing, yeah, I think that maybe a good thing to do, I'm actually not sure if I ever made this agreement like in a Google Doc format or like a Notion format where people can make comments. I've been making it each week kind of as a backup topic, because I figure it's good to have a couple topics proposed in case we discuss one topic faster. But this week it happened to get more votes. So I know Vlad left, and Jorge's not here, so we're actually not able to pass this proposal. So I would suggest that we could move on to the other topic that's on the agenda. I'm excited to share that as well, and we're about a half hour through, so that might make the most sense. And then I can create a Google Doc or Notion format where people can make comments on the exact wording about how it should work. If that sounds good with everybody, then I think that would be a good way to proceed. And I suppose I can also say here too, I think Patrick's listening. I know Patrick has got a thumbs up from Rosemary. Thank you. Great to see you, Rosemary. Yeah, I suppose some last words I can share about this, because we've spoken mostly the language. I agree with that. And I also think it's important for the video calls as well, the permission to record video and like share on social media. So I'm doing that each week with the Eden Creators YouTube channel. And that does include some liability. Like I'm happy to do it right now. And I trust everybody here. Like I think that we're all doing great work, and I'm very happy to promote, and I love sharing the videos. And there's so many great people out there, but as we do grow, like with I'm expecting that will grow a lot, and at some point there'll be hundreds of thousands of people who are interested in here. And also with AI coming as well too, that's like way more people in a way. I think it's necessary to add these kinds of protections. So I would encourage Patrick, because I know Patrick has said that he's not sure about the agreement, and Vlad has said so as well. Right now I'm only asking to test it out in the software, not actually asking to have it like any formal agreement or anything that required, but I do think it's necessary. And I think that we could grow fairly quickly. Like I'm working on a lot of plans for raising funding and raising awareness for Eden Fractal. And I don't think it is feasible to continue publishing videos and to continue hosting events and continue participating in all these things without an agreement. Happy to discuss it more in detail, but I think philosophically, like it's a necessity. So I'd like to have a discussion with Patrick and Vlad and anybody else who doesn't agree with the idea of agreeing to a proposal to discuss this in more detail, perhaps during a brainstorming session or something like that. And I think it's just, I think it's obvious, like it just, if a community can't agree, then like what's the point of coming together to reach consensus? Like consensus is, it is an agreement, it's a shared opinion. And so like, it's really helpful to be able to make agreements, write things down and say, we agree to this. So I suppose I'll share that.
I agree with you.
Cool.
I also
Thanks,
share what you're saying about the liability. I think that's really important, because you're taking a lot of liability by accepting that role as host. I mean, not really, because not in this case for us. I don't think that's a threat here in this case. But if you do expand this idea out and scale it out, yeah, people are going to have liability. Whoever hosts it and it starts publishing stuff, there's always liability. So in that case, I mean, for that reason, I think it's worth pursuing and just finding the right language and at least covering the host and saying, or whoever's recording. I mean, I can record, anybody here can record. So we should all agree that whatever happens here is fair game. Yeah, I think that's important. And just make sure that whatever's behind you, right? People aren't walking through the door naked, right? That kind of thing. You gotta beware.
Yes, that can be added to the agreement as well. Thanks, Perry. And I agree. I saw Tadas had his hands up, and then Rosemary had their hands up. And did you still want to go first, Tadas, or should Rosemary go first?
Rosemary can go first.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I fully agreed with Perry. I think this is needed, and it's a simple language. So it's just in simple terms to have something agreed upon. And I'll be happy to have a discussion about it and hear what the objections are, and then we can move forward. NFT
okay.
in the corner. There's a comment from Lisa. Is that the art, if it's an NFT? No, it's a starry night. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see it. Looks cool.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that
it's
painting,
not.
although it looks like a different one
Hmm?
than the Van Gogh painting, right?
Yes, but it's a bit of a mixture. Oh, thank you. She said she loves it. So yes, I fully agree with what Barry said, and I'm on the same. I have the same thoughts.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Rosemary, for sharing. And thank you, Lisa, for the encouragement and inspiring Rosemary to add community NFTs to the game as well. Lisa also asked, is this the right title to propose? We're proposing things right? Captain Dancing. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Lisa. If you're talking about the proposal itself, maybe you want to clarify in the chat. I'll pass it on to Das now.
No, I was trying to give you a
CEO
title because you're flying the EOS ship. So I'm trying to sneak in a title, but I'm not quite sure if that's the right. If you fly a ship, it's a captain. I'm not sure. Someone can say. I didn't want to throw you all off, but just wanted to get a little lore done in between.
Cool. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, well, we are flying a ship, and many leaders in a decentralized community as well. And we'll think about the lore to put that in great terms, along with Space Day, which Evgeny reminded us yesterday before. But anyway, I think I'll pass it on to Das now.
Yeah, I think what's in this agreement is basically just some obvious terms which we kind of implicitly already agree upon. So it's just formalized basically, and in my mind that's the first iteration of the agreement that we should pass. It should basically just state what we already implicitly agree on, and yeah, I don't see any reason for not passing this agreement, because it's just better to formalize it so that we are protected from people who blame us for something which while we don't understand what we all kind of stand for. So yeah, I think I'm also interested to hear from others, from Patrick and Vlad, or why we shouldn't pass it.
Yeah, thanks, Das. And I completely agree. And on that note, Patrick, 5 minutes ago, right, I am confirmed not voting. Not totally sure what that means, confirmed that you're not voting. But anyway, we're not able to vote with the full delegate council this week anyway. But it seems like most people who have spoken about it have been in support of it. Patrick said, but not leaving. There are other subjects very important to do before. I don't agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of other subjects that are very important, but this is quite simple. Like, this is just, we could just do this. It's not like something that takes many, many hours or days. We could do it in a matter of minutes and then do other things as well. So Patrick, I'd be curious to hear if you have any thoughts. I think just you and Vlad are the two people who have spoken out against this, or if anybody else, if anyone else wants to share their support, or if they have any issues with this, would be happy to hear it. But so far it seems like Tadas, myself, Marco, Noam, I think Eric and Perry and Rosemary have all been in support of this. So sorry if I'm making any mistake, but I think from what I've heard, everybody there mentioned they support doing an agreement. And so far, Vlad and Patrick have mentioned that they don't. So Patrick, would be curious to hear your thoughts if you want to share. Well, if you want to share more about your thoughts, would be curious to hear it. And then I see Marco has your hands up now.
Is Patrick here?
Patrick is listening in, and he typed that 5 minutes ago, so I'm assuming he's listening. But I don't know, maybe he walked away from his computer for a moment.
Well, just to know, I won't vote for it the way it is, but drop the 3 letters or add something for clarification, just so it doesn't impact expression. A little bit matters sometimes. Coming from New York, people have a lot of different accents, and English is weird in New York. It's like a different language. Sometimes we can't understand what English is saying. We're not really speaking English here. A lot of the words we use aren't like biscuits aren't the same thing over there. Cookies. So technically, we aren't speaking English. And if you remove those 3 words, then yeah, just it leaves a little bit open. But what it doesn't leave open is that the decision is being made in a language that is understood that's popularly considered English. At all times, you're forcing some sort of legal thing, which is entirely not necessary because you couldn't argue for coming to consensus on a different language that people who generally speak English couldn't understand, and it would be impossible to prove that legally or in any logical sense. I think it's unnecessary to have those three things. And then I would agree to that because we are speaking English, so it just stops an attack, like you're saying. That's enough. We just want to stop the attack, maintain consensus.
Yeah, good points. Thanks, Marco. And another thing that might be helpful to keep in mind too is that we can always change it. So I agree, we can probably just remove those three words entirely, and that would make it simpler right now. And then when we think of some better way to specify it without making it too specific, then we could always add that. I envision that there are probably more terms we'd want to add, more like terms or clauses or whatever over time, so it can be an ongoing thing. And over time, we can also get more organized, perhaps using Notion and other tools to do it as well as more decentralized tools like Firmament too. Perry?
I would encourage that whatever we adopt, whatever we accept, that it can be reasonably interpreted with some degree of accuracy by an AI bot. Because I think where we're all going here, where all these groups are going, is an AI-driven host. And to be honest, sometimes when I hear Dan give his presentations, I'm not sure we're not already there.
Well, we had Pat Novabot earlier today sharing some updates from the AI newsphere. And yeah, in a way, I saw an interesting tweet from Brendan Lovejoy. Actually, it wasn't a tweet. It was Brendan Lovejoy sharing something very philosophical and insightful, as he often does in the EOS chat, saying how maybe better to call it a meta-intelligence because all wisdom that AI has comes from human beings. And on that note, Douglas joins, a wise man who's hosting the Aqua Deck and so forth. So great to see you, Douglas. And thanks also, Perry, for the futuristic insights and kind words. I think kind words. All right, cool. Well, does anybody have any other thoughts about the agreement? I mean, for next steps for the agreement, I think I'll probably just remove those three words and can repropose it in a future week, and perhaps we can hear more from Patrick and Vlad. It's also something that we can consider when we're voting for delegates too. This is something that's been an ongoing proposal that we haven't passed yet, but I do think it's a good thing to pass soon, get started on. So that's something that we can weigh into our decisions as we're asking who wants to be a delegate, if people are interested in approving this in future weeks. And then I can repropose it with the shorter version and then also share a Google Doc or a Notion where people can make comments on it throughout the week. Perhaps we can start like a Notion, like a page where people can also, add lots more. That might be a good thing to do for longer term development of it as well. But I'll think about the best way to do it. And that can be a good next step. Tadas?
Yeah, thanks. Just came up with a suggestion. Like, could we maybe simply say each party agrees to use English language for communication during the video call? For me, that's very simple, and in my mind, it removes that kind of harsh requirement to really understand English. Like, for me, it sounds a bit softer, so that people who don't know English perfectly, they might still feel welcome. I shared this in the Telegram chat. I shared two versions, but I think the second one, I like the second one better, which I just said.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thank you, Tadas, for sharing that. Yeah, and yeah, that sounds good. I encourage everybody to also just share it in the live chat too. There's also an agreements channel too. So either in the live chat or the agreements channel, I encourage anybody to share any ideas throughout the week that you think of that might be good to add or remove. And I'd also be curious too, we focus mostly on the English part. Curious if anybody has any suggestions to improve the second part. I think somebody made suggestions at some point and I saved them somewhere. But if anybody wants to share their opinions about the part about video calls and sharing, then that would be appreciated as well. I see Noam has hands up. He also shared some interesting, I haven't read them yet, but I think they're probably interesting in the live chat. So Noam, do you want to share your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think on a procedural note, I would suggest separating the two proposals, the English and the video, into two separate ones. It's going to be easier to pass and ratify, because if you're trying to pass and ratify both of them at once, you're going to get a lot more objections. So I think it would be in terms of procedure, it would be better if we have two separate proposals. Maybe we can pass one and work on the other, or pass the other and work on the first one. But let's see if we can pass and ratify something to get started. For that, I suggest splitting them into two separate proposals.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thanks for the suggestion, Noam. And I agree. In general, making the proposals more smaller and bite-sized, especially with a lot of people, because everybody thinks of different little things. So I'll do that next week. And if anybody else wants to propose it too, of course, you're welcome to. But I'll take that feedback into account. And then I think next week I'll just separate it with the language English as the first one, and then propose a secondary addendum, or a second term as a separate proposal, so that way we can just focus on one and then take it step by step. Cool. Well, thanks, Noam. And I saw you also wrote some message in the chat where you want to welcome people who are English as a second language. It's important to prevent disruption due to fragmentation of languages being spoken. For example, if 1/3 of people showing up to a meeting cannot speak or understand English and they're randomly assigned breakout rooms, some of the rooms will find it extremely hard to reach any kind of consensus. And yeah, I agree. That's a good point. I think one of the things that people often kind of underestimate about Eden Fractal, and that's a really good point to highlight. A lot of times people think in terms of quantitative metrics, like how many people are joining, how many people are following, and stuff like that. And there's a huge difference in qualitative experience, what kind of experience people have, if people are enjoying it, how much people are investing in the community, their time and attention, and so forth. And I think one of the really unique things that's awesome about Eden Fractal is we have a huge amount of just great experiences and high quality of experiences, and people who get involved, they get really involved. So we want to make sure that we're providing the best experience possible to our community. And that's another good point about having everybody speak the same language, because when people can speak the same language, then they can get a lot more done together and cooperate better and have a better experience. And the more that we can maximize and help everybody enjoy their time and get as much value out of it as possible, the better.
Lisa's,
okay, cool.
I was just going to say Lisa's last comment here about different translators is interesting. Not so much for our group, but if other fractals were to get together, that's fascinating. Yeah.
I used to live in an international dorm in Berkeley, and those things are amazing, especially the intercultural things that you can see when you have one person translating to another group for something from a completely different culture. But they work for much larger groups. If we need to work with 5 people in a room that have to reach consensus, that means we need 4 out of 5 to agree. And one of them doesn't speak the language, and his translator happens to be in a different breakout room because the assignments are random. We're stuck. I think these amazing experiences need to happen in a different forum, not in an Eden Fractal like ours.
Good points. Thank you, Noam and Lisa. Yeah, Lisa, I don't know if you want to share what you said out loud, or else I can say that Zoom has a good system, or a system for translators, and Alien Worlds has a global community of managers, teams who are also translators. If you have a way for them to plug into Zoom, they will, and each breakout room can be a different language. People can hear the translator instead. School systems use this. And what Lisa heard, Noam was saying that translators will bring more players, smiley face. I also encourage everybody to use the Telegram live chat as well. Once again, it can help keep all our conversations in one spot and also have it remembered as well. And then I'll feel less need to read it out loud so people can see it in advance too. And sometimes we lose the Zoom chats, so they're difficult to find. But yeah, thanks for sharing the thoughts. And
well, I just want you to know, as a counterpoint to that, I was just telling Michael Yates in a chat the reason that Fractally is so amazing, because in amongst disagreeing about things, we can create lore and have fun. And this is why this governance will work, and it stands out like a shining diamond in the sunshine, because you can have people deciding things together in a peaceful and enjoyable manner. So the multimedia here, I'm actually exploring a few things as well as actually communicating in this fashion. So thank you for playing along. But anytime you need help with the translate, I'm not entirely following along the controversy, so forgive me, but if you need the translators, which I've spelled wrong, I acknowledge, I would be happy to invite them, because they're looking for play paths for the players too, just like the rest of us. And they're interested in the same things we are. They just may or may not speak our language well. And it's true, they ask the most fascinating questions that like certain, communities might never think of otherwise. So I think that would be a really fun project. We could even just set up a thing for that, and I know some people who could help us with the Zoom.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Marco gave it a clap or claps, I should say, and Tadas gave a thumbs up too. So yeah, I think this has been a great discussion. Really appreciate your insights here, Lisa. Thumbs up from Gnome too. And from Lisa, lots of thumbs up. I'll give a thumbs up as well. All right. And then did anybody have any thoughts about the video part of that while we're here talking about, or also if anybody wants to, if anybody wants me to share the ideas for what I'm working on, the second topic proposal, which was about the landing page and some articles I'm working on and some funding plans, then I'm happy to jump into that now. But I'd also be happy to hear too if anybody has any feedback about the second part of the article about consent to record and share video conference calls. Although also we could save that for being on for collaborating with Google Docs or Notion or something like that. One more time here, it's on the screen. Does anybody have any suggestions about the best way to proceed? And do you have any more thoughts about the participant agreement, or should we get into the sorry, I'm a bit disorganized right now, or should we get into the second topic on the agenda, or is there anything else anybody has in mind that you want to discuss? We have about 8 minutes left for the agenda scheme. We'll probably keep recording for, I don't know, maybe a half hour or so. We could stop earlier, we could go later if everybody wants, but basically here's the topic that we discussed so far, participant agreement. I think we have some good next steps for that. And then the next topic on the agenda, if we want to discuss this now, can also say for next week, is discussing edenfractal.com and new landing page and associated resources and stuff like that. Anybody have more thoughts you'd like to share, or a suggestion for how to best proceed?
I'm happy to hear about your new landing page, and I don't know if it's within the protocol, but I'd be happy to introduce everybody to the new DNews feature, or if you prefer, I'll make a proposal next week. It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if you'd like to, well, first I can ask, how long would you like to introduce the DNews feature? Is that a quick introduction, or how long would that be helpful to discuss that for?
It only takes like 2 minutes, just to let people be aware of it, and then they'll know. I'll let them know where to go. In the future, it'll just be maybe a little later today, or I'll have a link for them. That's all.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I think first, since I proposed it on the agenda and we're still in the Cagendas hour, I'll share the edenfractal.com site, and then we'll discuss the DNews afterwards, if that's good with you, or we can propose it for next week, and happy to hear it. But also, if people have questions about it and want to discuss it, then I wouldn't want to, cut off the conversation. And since this is already on agenda, I think it makes sense to focus on this first. But I did hear about what you're doing with the new feature, and I'm excited to hear more about it, and looking forward to that. I think people will appreciate it a lot. And also, Rosemary said second topic. Douglas said, I'm in agreement with the agreement, both parts. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So thank you, Douglas, for your feedback about the agreement. So in terms of people, then, I mean, people had criticisms about the best way to write the agreement, but it seems like there's pretty overwhelming, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but large support for the agreement, something like 80% or something, 90% of people who have shared something who have been in agreement with it. Welcome, Jorge, too. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And I will share a quick presentation to show what I'm working on with the EdenFractal.com and landing page. Happy to hear feedback about this. I'll also, yeah, I'll share about a 5-minute presentation maybe, but feel free to jump in though. It can be pretty informal and very interested to hear what people think. I shared some of this during my breakout room, so some of it might be repetitive if you're in my breakout room, but I'll also try to put a new spin on it. So currently EdenFractal.com, so I've been building EdenFractal.com and I have some website design skills. I'm constantly learning more. This is the current site right now, and it has worked well enough for the past almost a year now. It's 45 weeks. It just has a link to RCP, link to watch the videos, and a link to details page, and then just some kind of general text about helping communities cooperate. But this is kind of the first place that a lot of people see Eden Fractal. And so I think it's a good idea to improve it. I've been, just trying to keep it pretty simple. I've also been focusing on a lot of other stuff too. But yeah, trying to just keep it simple and make something that provides what people need. I've mentioned the videos page a lot, also has links to the Twitter and Telegram and stuff like that. But the videos page, I've been putting the show notes together for each week, as I think you've all seen and are familiar with by now. Basically, I'm talking about making a new landing page and actually making a details page. Previously, the details page looked kind of like this. It was like super messy and kind of detailed, like too detailed, I think, to just get into it. If anybody wants, I can share links to this so you can learn more. But the art was kind of like square, and I think it just wasn't super attractive, and it could be done a lot better than it previously was. So over the past several weeks and months, I've been working a lot on improving like the messaging and the branding communication for Eden Fractal to help promote everybody in the community, and also in working to expand these Eden Fractal consent schemes and processes with more communities, and also raise funding for what we're doing to help fund much more efforts so more communities can benefit from these consent schemes, as well as everybody in the Eden Fractal community. So this week I was inspired to put together a new kind of a landing page. Right now it's at edenfractal.com/details. So it is live and you can see it, but I'm thinking about moving this to the homepage. It is a first draft. It will certainly be improved. I want to, like, right now there's a boxy image with the wave, so I want to make it like more seamless and have like the whole welcome, kind of integrated with the art and add more to it as well. So I would move on to Dan's next time. Oh, that was 3 minutes ago. Sounds good. Thanks to Das. Yeah, and so I was a bit more like just in previous ones, I was kind of there's always a little bit of like I don't know how to best put this, but there's always it's a decentralized community, so lots of people have different opinions about what Eden Fractal might be. But since I'm the one making this website and I have a really exciting vision for it, I just figured I would put it more into words, and I'm curious to hear what people think. But basically, I defined Eden Fractal as a community. Eden Fractal is a community that creates innovative games, shows, and tools, and just trying to make it quite simple, but also highlight some of our value propositions here, and also do it in a way that is accessible and exciting for many people who might be interested in benefiting from Eden Fractal products and resources in the near future. So I separate this section into games, shows, and tools. Is basically the 3 sections, or the 3 value propositions that we're offering with Eden Fractal. And so the first one is games, and I had a bit of creative writing here saying game on, and I wrote how we meet each week to play fun consensus games, collaborate for mutual benefit, and create public goods. And then I wrote, we believe that well-designed social games are the key to leveling up our communities, societies, and civilization. And also, I didn't ask other people if they believe that. I think people generally believe that here. And so this is all first draft, so I'm happy to change these if we want. But I think also some more narrative can help to explain it better. So anyways, as you can learn more about our innovative games and how they help communities achieve shared goals in our welcome guide or group chat. So welcome people there. And I've also been working on a welcome guide at edenfractal.com/welcome. I've also been working on this with Rosemary as well. She's working on a Google document, and a few other people have, Vlad and other people have been interested in collaborating. So if there's anything anybody wants to collaborate here, this is all in Notion, like I showed before. So happy to invite people, and you can make comments on all of this, and we can share permissions and stuff so people can do it. But basically, this welcome guide has an intro about what is Eden Fractal, what are consensus games, what is Eden plus Fractal, what is Congendas. I haven't updated this much, so I want to add more to this about the apps that we use and stuff. But it's got a decent amount of writing that I think is pretty good as an introduction to Eden Fractal. People can read it, and I can share the links here. Looks like a lot of ideas on the upgrading side with like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, there's also descriptions of all the games. But anyway, I'll go back to here, the actual landing page. So from the landing page, you can check out the welcome guide. And the welcome guide it's basically aimed to provide an introduction for people who are participating, people who are joining the game for the first time without having to get into too many details. The next section I have is about the videos. So I write lights, camera, action. We produce videos of each meeting, so you can watch us grow and make the best experience possible. And you can watch the show notes and explore the show notes and watch the videos here, which links to that place where I'm curating the show notes for each week. And then there's also links to pages I'm curating for interviews, other shows from community members, and also an article which has ideas about how we can, how these consensus games and how we're doing this video like unlocks the next generation of collaborative video creation. I spoke with Rosemary about this, and she said it's kind of wordy, so I agree. This is all first kind of draft, but this is kind of like the idea of it. It links to this article, by the way, which is DAMS, which is Decentralized Autonomous Media Studios, which is also a work in progress, but basically speaks to and shares some of the vision that I have for how we are making videos together and how many communities can benefit from this. So there's a lot of resources here. There's some videos I made as well about how dams work and stuff. And then below that, there's a section about building abundance. We're building open source tools to help everyone cooperate. Eden Fractal tools empower communities with unprecedented potential for creative collaboration, independence, and mutual benefit. You can learn about our state-of-the-art apps, games, and other cooperative tools here. And for the past couple of weeks, I've been working a lot on a tools article that is sharing in much more detail. I also want to build like a landing page and more brands for this as well, but it shares much details about the tools that Tadas, Vlad, and several other builders in the community are building. And so it has an overview of the apps that we use with Fractogram and the Fractal app, consensus games, and that goes into much more detail about all of these. This is quite a comprehensive article. I also want to reach out to Joran too, because he's been doing great work on Gitbook, curating these too. I put some art in here as well. And so this has a pretty high level overview or pretty detailed overview actually of a lot of the different consensus games and tools that we use, a bit about Fractally and Eden plus Fractal and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the three main parts of the landing page. And there's also a section for meetings where everybody can join. You can RSVP here, but please note that each meeting is recorded and the videos are shared publicly. So please only join if you're comfortable with this. And then a section about where people can learn more. They can reach out if they're interested in joining or empowering their community. I'm going to put together a page with resources as well. So that's kind of an overview there. I can go more into detail about any of it, but I've been going for a little while now. There's also some other tabs too. I suppose one last thing I can say too is I mentioned that during the proposal or in the topic proposal, I can share the new landing page and provide an overview of the articles, or tools, welcome guide, and a plan to raise funding. So yeah, I think that all this, like funding, is a huge value unlock for what we're doing, because as we discussed during the Pomelo pitch sessions and our Pomelo campaign that we had, yeah, I mean, it's great that we raised some funding. I think during Pomelo season, Eden Fractal community members raised over 25,000 EOS in total, and we had the whole Pomelo campaign, and we did the Pomelo pitch session, and people are doing amazing work here. But that's still like quite a small amount of funding for what we're doing in general, and that people here are building incredibly helpful tools that are super helpful for everybody. And the more that we can raise funding, the more empowered we'll all be to help all communities with these processes. So I figure this landing page can be especially helpful for sharing what we're doing with Eden Fractal for other communities. One of the things that I mentioned, I'm focusing on games, partially because I think that working with other games in particularly in the Web3 space, but then also all communities in the world can benefit from this. But I feel like as a next step, working with people who are interested in games, like for example, the Alien Worlds community. I've been working a lot with Lisa and many other people who are interested in bringing Eden Fractal games to Alien Worlds, also Upland as well. Also, the ENF recently had a $20 million or 20 million EOS initiative with the ENV, the EOS Network Ventures, to fund games as well. And even other people are talking about that. I raised some funding also during the Eden election to go to Consensus, where I'm still working to raise the funding that I need to actually go there. But I'm hoping to be able to go and then promote Eden Fractal there. It's one of the biggest conferences there. So between having all those things together, and then there's also an upcoming Upland hackathon where we could share these as well. And they're looking for basically for innovations to help communities and bring people together. So I think this really fits for what we're doing here. I think that this provides a great strategy going forward to like have a nice landing page that people can check out what Eden Fractal does at kind of a high level overview and learn a lot about it. And then we can share it with people who are interested in sharing these themes with their communities. So I think that was 5 minutes. Sorry, I went a bit long, cut into it. There's so much to say, but hope you all enjoyed and happy to discuss it and so forth. I see Perry and Tadas have their hands up, so I'll pass on to Perry now.
Okay, Dan, I think you're bringing up great topics, a great topic, but I think what it's highlighting is the role of the host and how important and how influential the role of the host is, and how important, I think, if this is to scale out, and especially if it's just you're going to start introducing it to places like consensus, where people are going to look at it critically, we need to consider what is the role of the host, and does the host have, what influence does the host have over the whole group? I can see by your landing page and the content you've created, you have a very clear picture of what Eden Fractal is, but yet we haven't decided what we are. We don't have a mission. So, this is all part of the process that we're discussing this and we're bringing this out. So I'm glad you brought that up. I think we have to consider that where this is going eventually is that we're going to have AI hosts. I think that's really what it's going to come down to. We're going to have a host, and maybe it's got Dan's face on it. I don't know. Could be. It's going to probably have somebody's face on it. I'm not opposed to that. But the host is probably going to have some kind of defining rule set. And that rule set probably is going to be a document, kind of like the bylaws or this agreement that we're talking about that has 2 items in it right now that we discussed earlier. And we would instruct that AI robot to enforce those rules. And if somebody violated one of those rules, then maybe they get kicked out. Who knows? Who knows how that actually works in the future? But to have a single person defining a group, the mission of a group, when the group itself hasn't defined itself, doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I don't want to discourage you having landing pages or creating your own content, but to suggest that you're now telling us that a centralized entity is now telling a decentralized group, or what's supposed to be a decentralized group, what they're doing doesn't seem to make sense to me. And what would an Eden Fractal meeting be without a controversial statement from Perry?
Thank you, Perry. But anyway, I want to hear what Tadas thinks, but I just want to briefly respond to that. So I don't know if it's really controversial. I mean, it's a good point in general, and something that I was trying to communicate to. I didn't write it out clearly, so I'm not sure if I communicated well, but it is like an awkward situation in a way, because for example, I didn't ask if everybody believes that games are the future and stuff, but that felt like a good thing to write. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it here, just to hear what everybody thinks. I also have some thoughts too, like we have discussed, like the role of how each person with their own website or Twitter account and so forth can use their own discretion to write as they see fit, and like what people can write and so forth. So anyway, I can get more into it. I'm happy to discuss it, but I think you're making good points that are very interesting to explore. So thank you for that.
I know this is going to sound self-serving, but ponder this after we get off this meeting. Everybody should think about this. What I've created in DNews is exactly the answer.
All right. Well, thank you, Perry. I'll be pondering and looking forward to sharing your new feature updates as well. And I guess with that, we can pass it on to Tadas, and then Douglas has his hands up next.
Yeah, so the way I see it, Dan creating this website has nothing to do with him being a host. So I don't think that him being a host has anything to do with it. He created it as a contributor. We don't have any alternative home pages for Eden Fractal. If somebody creates one, then we would have to reach consensus on which to consider the main one. But that's the reality right now. But that Eden Fractal operates like this. People offer their contributions to it, and that is an awkward situation in the sense that Dan, it's Dan's website. It's not our website. It's not Eden Fractal's website, but it can be used, and I think it should be used to inform about Eden Fractal. So yeah, it's a nuanced thing, I understand, but I don't think that Dan is telling us what Eden Fractal is, the way you implied, Perry. Although in the future, I imagine if we pass a mission statement, then we have clearly said what we think we are, and then I would expect that Dan would create a homepage that reflects that mission statement more accurately. Yeah, so that's my
I think I saw the title Eden Fractal at the top, and I think he described a very specific direction. So I have to directly refute what you just said.
No, what I just said is that right now he described it the way he sees it, but in the future, if the main homepage of Eden Fractal will be the one which reflects what we decide ourselves to be. So basically, we haven't said yet who we are. We haven't stated. So we cannot expect them to create something that reflects our values accurately.
Okay, consider together in the same thought what I've done with DNews, the fact that I have tried to introduce decentralized editing for DNews, and a mission statement. Those three things. Put those three things in your head right now, right? And then have lunch or dinner or breakfast. And then take a nap and then wake up and see what happens.
I think you will have to give me more details maybe in the next. I look forward to your presentation. I hope to see one during the next Eden Fractal meeting about this. I would.
Well, I'm just summarizing what I've already said many times in this group. I'm happy to do it again. Yeah, absolutely. Please vote for it.
But you mentioned some new features, so how?
No. I didn't know all three of those things. I've actually hammered this group with.
So it's something else. Okay.
No, it's DNews, my decentralized, where I'm gathering into content into a single stream, which I could do narrowed just for this group, a mission statement, and what's the third? And a decentralized decision-making body, which is this group, like the delegates of this group, decide what are the sources. So if you combine those three things that I've been hammering this group with, you have exactly the answer. It's the manifestation of our collective agreement will define the content and the direction of where we're going. We decide on a mission statement, we decide the sources, and then we all get to produce content, and it goes into a stream, and then people can see, okay, this is what this group is about, without any one single person, whether the host or not, determining that. That's all.
Yeah, I see where you're going, but I don't know. I think it just needs more elaboration in terms of how sources are selected and a lot of things. But yeah, I see. I don't say that you're wrong here.
Yep. Good points. Welcome, Jeza. By the way, I'm going to mute you unless you want to say something because there's some weird sounds coming out of your mic. But thanks for joining. Hope you're doing well, Jeza. And yeah, I saw Douglas and Rosemary had their hands up. I'll just briefly respond to that. Yeah, so once again, Perry, I'm looking forward to what you're working on with DNews. And a couple of things I want to just briefly respond to. One, there is always just like with a centralized vision, you can move much faster, and there is benefit to moving faster. Like for example, if this landing page can help communicate with communities like Alien Worlds or Upland or the ENF or whoever else to raise more funding so that we can empower more communities with these consensus games, then that could be a good trade-off overall. And also that's, I mentioned a few times that like I'm very happy to hear feedback too. So I'm happy to take into account people's feedback. We did discuss this quite a bit like 20 weeks ago, 30 weeks ago. I have an article, edencreators.com/consensus, where try to make it clear, and I think most people were in agreement that like all social media accounts, the websites and services and software, like they're all operated independently of consensus process, and it's like kind of up to the community members. Like the community members are always empowered to make their decisions independently of community consensus. I don't know, that it's all another discussion that we can get more into, and I can share more into. But I just figured I'd just mention that briefly, and we can come back to it. But I'm not aiming to dictate what we need to believe, and that's not all what I'm proposing here. I'm just saying these are like my suggestions of the vision, because I think that we can be able to move faster when we do have something like that. And time to consensus is an important thing to consider. So I think that ultimately, I mean, for one thing, anybody can make their own website and promote it. So nobody's stopping them to do it. I just happen to do edenfractal.com, and nobody else has done a website for edenfractal.com yet so far. And then in the long term, when we have more like capacity to make more decisions, then we can, go like sentence by sentence with the democratic process. Like I think that's something that can happen in the long term. But for now, it takes us long enough to come to consensus about an agreement to speak English and so forth. And so there can be benefit to just putting out there empowering individuals, or I don't think empowering individuals is even necessary to empower, because people are already empowered to do what they think is best. But anyway, I can get more into it and I'll share more, but I want to hear what Douglas and Rosemary wanted to share. I see they both lowered their hands. Do you still want to say something?
Yeah, sure. So actually what I really wanted to say was, and this is related to the contributor agreement, but also related to the website as well. And that is, so we all have like sort of separate projects, and the question becomes like, what do we want to share publicly? Or what is our preference when we're being shared publicly? So the agreement basically says, okay, this is the permission that anybody can use this video to share publicly. But then there's the opportunity for the preference of, after that, there's the option to say, okay, here's my socials or whatever that I have to share. Now, because this is the Eden Fractal, we also have our NFTs from being in Eden, which have a lot of our sort of social and contact information. It's already public, it's already on chain. So yeah, I just wanted to explore that idea and see if that resonates. Maybe it's something I should raise as a topic another day, but it's also something I've been thinking about for Aqueduct a lot. So I wanted to jump in and share that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Douglas. Good points. Great to hear from you as always. And well, just to be clear with one thing, there's some people who aren't Eden on Ears members here, I think. Jaza and Melissa, I'm not sure if they are. So it's not a requirement for everybody to be a member of Eden on Ears. So there isn't necessarily that NFT system and everything for everybody here, although that's something that we could integrate. And yeah, those are good points to consider. And it'll be, I think, a constant exploration trying to figure out the best ways to balance all these things out and so forth. But thank you for those points. And then Rosemary, was something you wanted to say still?
No, I lowered my hand then. I was gonna ask Perry what was the question, because he was explaining the answer, but then I was trying to figure out what the question is. And if the question is the mission, and then was the answer related to visiting DNews? And
well, can you hear me? Do I have that on?
Yes.
Yep. I was responding to Dan's presentation of his website, which I totally am. That's great. That's great. Everybody can create their own content. What I'm saying is, though, that the role of the host is kind of important. It has an oversized influence over the group, and that ultimately, I think where these things are going, and I think that's what we should be focused on, and trying to create something that other people can use, especially if you're going to go to a place like the Consensus Conference and try to sell it to people who will look at it very critically. They'll look at it with hard eyes, and they'll ask themselves, how can we use this? And one of the biggest problems, I think, that we need to resolve, and we don't need to resolve this today and now, and I definitely appreciate all the work that Dan has done. It's heroic, to be honest. He's responsible for carrying the burden of this thing for at least a year, I think. I don't know. But at some point, what is the evolution? Where are we going? And I think where we're going is we need to automate and truly decentralize the role of the host. And I think eventually it's an AI bot of some kind that enforces a mission statement or bylaws, whatever you want to call it, some document that the AI can comprehend. And as I said, it's kind of self-serving, but DNews itself has kind of solved part of that by creating a stream that streams all of our content into one, as opposed to the host declaring a particular direction for the group. So we don't even have a mission statement, yet we're hearing the host say that we're going to be doing this, that, and the other thing. So, is that trying to influence us into accepting a mission statement, a particular mission statement? Could it do that? Probably it can have some influence. So what I'm suggesting is that we work towards a decentralized configuration, which includes something like a decentralized stream, like DNews, that gives editorial control to all of us here in this room, right? That's another thing that I've suggested, and that we have a mission statement. So those three things combined, I think, are the direction that we should go. If we're trying, what we're trying to do is to create something that could go viral and other people could use, and that we really contribute to humanity that needs something like this right now. This is just like, we're all having fun. Patrick and I are having fun, but there's something very serious about what we're doing here. We have an opportunity to create something that can solve a lot of problems. And that's what I'm trying to do between Fun with Patrick.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Perry. DNews Outzone. I appreciate it, and I agree. Douglas
Thank you, Rosemary, for the question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Rosemary. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but Gnome and Tadas have their hands up. So I suppose, I see Rosemary unmuted.
Okay. I have more to add, but let's hear from the rest. I'm more particularly interested in exploring in another time. I guess the difference between the setup that we have now with the host and whatever you're thinking of how things could be and the hosting there, because I'm not sure how far in the future you're seeing a bot being the host, but I'm just particularly interested to find out your thoughts on that in the future. And
we don't know what Vlad and Tadas are working
on. Okay, that's for me.
I just saw Dan with the inquisitive chin. I don't know.
Tadas has a smirk, like he's thinking about something interesting. Okay.
So that makes what I've just said that much more important.
Okay, great. Well, great points. Thank you, Perry and Rosemary. I'm very much looking forward to getting more into this. And I see Gnome's had his hand up for a while, so I think now's a good time to pass on to Gnome.
Thanks. I guess I'm pretty new to these calls, so I'm just giving my observations as as I'm easing in the whole thing. One thing for sure that I see, I mean, I think it's important to recognize work when volunteer work is put. So I mean, I personally I applaud anyone that comes up with any proposal, suggestion, tooling, website, whatever it is. And I think it's a great thing to be able to see more of these. So kudos to Dan for the work that's been put there in that website, and kudos as well to Barry for proposing something or an improvement over what has been suggested by Dan. I'd like to invite you, Barry, to schedule maybe a some sort of a presentation as well of the news and explain it a little bit further, at least like for me. I'd love to learn more about this and see if that can help. And I also think it's important to recognize that at the beginning of something, there's going to be a lot of iteration. There's going to be a lot of like trial and error, and that's fine. Like it's part of the whole thing. I do agree on the role of the host being some sort of a privileged role. So it's important in the way that these I guess like calls go to make sure we don't commingle the host times with the host proposals and things of the sort. It kind of I see the point where it can be slightly abusive in a certain way. It could be abusive, but I don't think that was the intent of them. And I think it's great that it comes up with anything really to help the group. So I definitely support that. I think if you're gonna be like the way I look at it, if you're gonna be talking in someone else's name, you should probably have some sort of endorsement or permission to do so. If that website was more of a personal thing or corporate thing of a corporate entity that you control, then of course you can write what you want. But if it's intended to be some sort of a official public goods type of platform, then it makes sense to have some discussion about the content that should be displayed there and whatnot. But in any case, I'd love to hear more about the news. I'd love to see how that solves these kind of problems when it comes to aggregation of content and consensus making on deciding what should go there and whatnot. And I'm happy to help in whatever way I can as well in architecting these systems or improving them in any way that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Gnome.
That's two people that have requested some kind of a response from me next week. So I'd be very happy to do that. I'll try to do that, and I hope that people vote that up, and we can do that next meeting. Thank you.
All right, excellent. I'm looking forward to that very much. And yeah, really appreciate your comments there, Noam. And I've also been taking some notes. I see Lisa wrote some messages in the chat, and I have a couple bullet points that can be applied to what Perry was talking about DNews before, and also what Noam was talking about there. I see Dadas has his hands up, so pass on to Dadas, and then I can share my thoughts afterwards.
Yes, thanks. So first of all, I forgot to give feedback about the new landing page version that you created. Then I think it looks great. I think it looks better than the previous version. So if I were you, I would probably just start using the new one as the main one. Yeah. Also regarding, I have some. Yeah. So I'm not working on any kind of automated AI host, and I think we are very far away. I think it's too early to even think about. Well, not too early to think about it, but I think it's early to plan for something like this. I think right now, if we try to implement some AI host, it would be a direct path towards centralization, because current, I think anything that could replace Dan would would probably require a lot of resources. That AI system would require a lot of resources, and then there are no decentralized way of doing that yet. And yeah, and officially, like formally, Dan has a moderator role. Like we passed a proposal that gave him that, and formally that role is limited to moderating time in these meetings, and we have rules for how we could replace moderators, and yeah, so yeah, I don't see much problem in from that perspective. Okay, thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tadas. Great points. Really appreciate it. We've been here for just about 3 hours, so I'm happy to start wrapping up. Don't want to take everybody's time too much, but really appreciate everybody's thoughts so far. I'll share some responses just as I've been taking notes here, and I'll be pretty quick in just a couple minutes. And then if anybody else wants to keep discussing things, I'm happy to hear it too. I think these are really interesting, super interesting. So thanks everybody so much. And then, yeah, so I suppose one, thanks to Das also for the feedback specifically with the website. Most of the feedback so far has been more so like the kind of the concept of doing the website and stuff like that, which is really valuable feedback. And also if anybody has any other additional feedback about website, like specifically how to best design it, how to best write it and stuff like that, would also be happy to hear it too. And would be happy to hear more feedback about like the best role of me as a website creator and moderator and Zoom host and stuff like that. Be happy to hear it in the Telegram chat if anybody wants to reach out to me. I'm aiming to help the community as much as possible. I am volunteering most of my time to help this community, and I want to do it in the best way possible to help everybody here as much as possible, and then set a good example and set a great example for more communities, because I really believe in this as a way to help everybody. So that's where my goals are, but I also appreciate too, I don't want to overstep or try to exert too much influence or anything like that as well. So very happy to have these discussions. Regarding AI, so I have been listening to a lot of interviews with Imad Mystique, who is the CEO of Stable, he's a CEO of Stability AI, which is the biggest open source AI company in the world, I believe. And they create the Stable Diffusion model, which is a very big image creation model, and a bunch of other stuff too for AI music and text and stuff like that. And it's fascinating. He seems quite confident that there will be AI replicants, I suppose is a term that he used, like basically the ability to make it look like it's me or Perry or whoever else, basically, but have it where it's AI generated, and then also just like, entirely new people as well. Within like 1 to 2 years, you think it's going to happen? So it might be a fairly immediate need. These things are moving very quickly, but as Tadas said too, that would also require a lot of resources and stuff. So it might be more like 5 years, I don't know, but it is sometime soon where that's going to become more of a thing to consider, I think. And I think that the role that Eden Fractal plays will be super helpful and also necessary for people to be able to collaborate in so many things. And then I think it's possible too, like there could be AI fractals where it's all AI participants, or half the people are AI participants as well. So who knows what's going to happen? It could be a wild feature, but it's good to discuss this. Regarding DNews, so DNews, I think it's different. I'm looking forward to your proposal or your topic proposal next week, Perry. DNews, I think it might play a bit of a different role, although maybe you see it in a different way. I mean, of course you do, you know a lot more about it, but from what I understand, it's mostly like for chronological. There might be other ways of sorting it, whereas I think here it's a little bit different, where in the website creation, like we're trying to engineer not just like the newest things that come up, that's certainly something we have to share, like the news and the news, but then also like what people see when they first see infractal.com or a different website or something like that. So, but I agree, coming to community consensus is a great way to do that. And the more we can do it democratically, the better. as long as we're not, trading off too much efficiency at the same time. But that's a balancing act, and that's also one of the reasons why I've been mentioning Notion, because Notion right now it's a fairly centralized tool, but it provides the kind of the framework and the infrastructure where we could make more collaborative decisions on how the website works and stuff like that. So I think that with an open source version of that in the future, we could potentially have a much more efficient system where we can have community votes on like what to put on each sentence and how to organize the website and stuff like that, in addition to the news. I was aiming to just like identify what we're doing, but certainly it can improve a lot. Lisa also wrote fewer rules are better, and she approved the games of the future. She shared some concern about AI, making sure that fewer rules are better so AI don't take advantage of people. And then she also wrote, can we do inductions next hour before, and inductions to Eden on EOS, I guess, next week, an hour before start. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that if you'd like, Lisa, then we can get in touch with that.
Awesome. We have someone who wants to. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to
cool.
mention,
Sounds
by
great.
the way, I'm a little distracted because there's someone in a Telegram group, AW Interplanetary Council, who is attacking some of us for trying to set up a governance experiment. And it's one of those cases where I have an arsenal of weapons, but I'm choosing not to use them and go the peaceful route, but it's extremely difficult. So if you'd like to see what I'm dealing with and why I so desperately need you all, feel free to hop on over.
All right. Well, thank you, Lisa. If you'd like to share a link with us so we can join it, I'd be very interested to see it. And yeah, I encourage everybody here to also get involved with and follow along, or just check out Alien Worlds. I've been working with Lisa and many of the people in the Alien Worlds community. A lot of people in the Alien Worlds community are excited about empowering their community and experimenting with Eden Fractal consensus games and independent infrastructure and tools and stuff like that. So I think there's great opportunity. Of course, Dwayne's also been leading that for a long time, as well as many other people in the community. So thank you, Lisa. She shared the link TG at AW Interplanetary Council. I'm going to join that if I haven't already yet. Also, congratulations to Lisa and also Vlad for being elected in the Planet Ike, I believe, Planet Ike. And then, yeah, there's some messages too. Douglas asking about DNews, Perry sharing dnews.zone, Douglas saying AI host 2030 and wants to make an AI fractal that judges models answering different fine tunings. So cool. Then that's pretty much, also just in response to Gnome too, I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate that you're supporting volunteer work. There's a lot of awesome volunteers doing amazing work here. So I completely agree with that, and encourage everybody to support volunteers in the group. And then I'm looking forward to the proposal with DNews, the topic about that. And yeah, I just want to, I guess, just also say thanks, Noam, for joining once again and being so interested in helping. Really excited to be working with you more. That is all for me, basically. I mean, I can go into a lot more of these things in detail, but I want to be relatively short and happy to discuss in future meetings and throughout the week. Does anybody else want to discuss anything else before we wrap it up, or should we just start wrapping it up? We've been going for over 3 hours now.
I'll hold off till next week. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Thanks, Dan.
Barry. Thanks, Noam. Cheers. Cool. Thank you. Looking forward to next week. Should we end it on like a 3, 2, 1, go Eden?
Oh.
We can also put some hats on too. The past like 6 weeks or 5 weeks, we've had kind of a hat party going on too. It looks like Douglas might be getting a hat. Douglas got a hat. Douglas got an interesting. Whoa, what is that? He's got like an alien hat.
It's a unicorn. It's my unicorn son.
A unicorn hat, very nice. Okay, cool. I have a cowboy hat right here that I can pick up. So if anybody wants to do the hat, you don't need a hat. I think Noam and Dwayne's got a cool looking hat as well. Dwayne's ready for a safari. Lisa with the cool green hat, nice. And of course Noam with the frisbee hat. Cool. Not a bot. Good to know again. Does anybody have any last words before we wrap it up?
Should we do one that says fly EOS too?
Sure. I'm down with that. All right. Everybody ready to go fly EOS and go Eden? We could perhaps do in the same one.
Too many things. We got.
That is a good point too. Maybe best to keep it simple, but we could do both. We could do 3, 2, 1, go EOS and fly Eden. after.
Wait, the other way. Go Eden and fly
Okay.
Eos.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll do Go Eden first. As we get an up close and personal view of the Douglas's unicorn, and also Rosemary has a dog on her head now too, which is a very interesting hat.
Okay.
Great to meet the dogs and
animals.
unicorns out there.
We must be flying over Neri.
Must be. Okay. Well, I guess we'll go 3, 2, 1, go Eden first. 3, 2, 1, 0. Go. And 3, 2, 1. Flying over Eos, flying to Eos.
Fly Eos. Like we're on a ship, the Eos ship, right? So fly Eos.
Yes.
We'll make an airline.
Thank you for flying Eos.
There you go. We're now a spaceship. We're now a spaceship airline.
Yes, a space line celebrating Space Day. To everybody, by the way, Evgeny wishes Happy Space Day. Today is Space Day, if anybody didn't know. So Happy Space Day, all.
Happy Space Day. I think
all right.
Space Day.
Fly Eos.
I think so too. All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Fly Eos. 3, 2, 1. 0.
Eos.
All right. Thanks everybody so much for the great meeting. Awesome as always. And see you all next week. Thank you.